Welcome on board, European Highlander. Before you begin your journey, please listen very carefully to this important safety announcement. And then you get the ding, 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 ding. and then you have, like, the bar is situated at the forward end of Deck 4.
Deck 4, let's go.
And proudly serves Starbucks coffee. And then fucking waits for ages. Also tea. With a selection of snacks.
Builds up your excitement.
Sandwiches. Morning goods and cakes.
And you just know when you go to get in and you're like, no, none of those left. That happens every time.
Every time.
Every lorry driver's at them all.
Yeah.
Well, look, you're all very welcome aboard the Soul to Scene podcast. I'm your captain, Andy Cooper, and today I'm joined by Gary and Ross.
Hello.
Hello.
And this week's guest, Supercar
Stowaway,
Supercar Stowaway, and RMS Forum member Warren Mercer. You're very welcome, Warren.
Thank you very much. Supercar disaster, probably is a better term.
Well, that's what you're here for. Bit of Titanic style supercar action. You're very welcome to the show, but maybe not to McLaren dealership.
No, I don't think so anyway. No McLaren dealership.
The proverbial iceberg.
We'll get to that later. Anyway, hopefully we don't get marooned in the Irish Sea. And hope you enjoyed my tribute to the wholly unnecessary announcements on the ferry. And that's because Gary is away car shopping tomorrow. Maybe we'll get to hear how that went in the next show.
Possibly.
My mate Robert runs RSG Auto Logistics, does car deliveries home, and he had he was over delivering something to England, and he said, "Look, I've an empty bed. What will we bring back?" Very, very difficult to know what to buy. What would you buy to bring back from England? Cheap and chancy to make a few pound on.
I think you probably couldn't go wrong with a Golf GTI of some kind. They always sell.
We thought Mark 5 GTI or
if you get at the right money.
But that's the thing. Everyone wants a billion.
There is no right money for cars at the moment.
No.
Literally. None.
It's crazy.
Stupid money everywhere.
It's crazy.
Maybe just fill like about 100 jerry cans with diesel. Bring that back.
Yeah, that 102. That's what you would sell. Take a trailer load off the super unleaded.
The length and breadth of England, you could probably get something at under 190 somewhere.
Are you carrying any fuel on this vehicle? And just 4 cubes of fuel on the back.
With a bit of V-power in the back.
So no, the car prices are mad. So I have the EV6 on test at the moment, as you have all seen, and I think around the table reasonably impressed by for a Kia.
Thoroughly impressed, actually. Yeah, I think we all definitely were.
Yeah.
Nice.
The inside, it was just that flat floor that EVs have.
Yeah.
The Kia has really shown. There's just so much more room in them, and yeah, there's something nice about it.
They're a great place to be for a daily driver.
When I get in beside Ross, I thought it's like Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
It's just screens and buttons everywhere. It's class. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And his head morphing through from the back.
No, the best bit was when you pressed the button and both our seats went back into reclining position.
Not together, by the way.
My only gripe is
On the one seat.
It's a big beast of a car. Like, what is that marketed against? Is that meant to be a Golf?
No, it's bigger. It's bigger than that.
bigger than that,
It is probably up against the Model Y, although the Model Y is huge. But just when I was thinking about, when I was saying about Robert going over and bringing cars home, the price of stuff. So take a Model 3, it's maybe up against as well. So the base Model 3 used to be 40 grand. Was it from last week or something? It's 48k. It's just jumped 8 grand. That Kia has jumped 4 grand in the last month as well.
That's new cars. There's I'm part of one of the, like, there's an E46 M3 owners group, and there's a Phoenix Yellow has popped up. Now, don't get me wrong, it's low mileage. There's everything else on it, but in the last year and a half, it's went up 18 grand in price compared to what it's sold at.
What?
Imagine getting one
£1,000
for £3 like Ross.
I know.
But yeah, £1,000 a month is what this E46 has apparently gained. It's nuts.
It's frightening.
And it's not worth it.
It's absolutely not worth it at
The
all.
cheapest Model 3 in the UK and piston heads out 160 cars, 39,000.
But basically what it was new in 2019, just looking at them, and they've all 20, 30,
Going up.
30,000 miles, 1,000k are on them. Unreal.
Wow.
Unreal. So no, the price of stuff is
the highest, I wonder.
is is mental, and the cost of fuel and all the rest. But I sold the GT4, I think, since we were last talking as well. So it's away in preparation for the Lotus coming. Advertise it, deposit within 24 hours. Couldn't believe it.
Bonkers.
It's mad. And no tyre kickers, nothing to deal with it like that.
No, just simple, straightforward. Boom, gone. I can believe it.
It's not a shock, to be honest. It's an amazing car. Like, and your car was in immaculate condition too, and
but
I was in it.
Still a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? But in anyone's book, you know,
so flip so rapidly like that.
It's frightening.
You could say a GT Porsche of some kind almost sells itself. You know, they're just such a good car.
Yeah,
you know, their pedigree and everything else. They're so well known.
Whoever's buying it knows what they're buying, so
yeah.
They don't really need to come and go, oh, does it do this or does it do that? They're just going to buy it.
True,
exactly.
True. And there's so few of them. They know the car, they know me, and all that sort of carry.
Yeah. I wouldn't buy a car off hand.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Never raced nor rallied.
Sold as seen.
Sold as, hence the name of the podcast. Absolutely. Yeah. So no, cars are mad, and then the thing is too, maybe cars at the top end of the market are impervious to, maybe it's like high-end watches and like high-end property and all the rest, because people have money. And I see a man shaking his head here.
It's very, very rapidly shaking my head. Watches, yes, maybe, but actually watch market's getting dipped at the minute too. But high-end cars, I did my balls in on every single car I owned. And
really?
I mean, my swingers. Badly. Yeah, well, the worst one was the McLaren, obviously, but like the first McLaren I bought, I had that 3 months, and I think it had about 55 grand of depreciation in about 3 months.
3 months?
4 months, maybe, yeah.
What's that, 570?
570S Spider in Mirawai white.
The white one,
beautiful car, yeah. It was a press car, so it had every option. Mm-hmm. So it was class from that point of view, just it kept breaking as well.
Was that because of the time, or have they gone back up down in price?
No, just at the time. That was just before I bought my 600 LT. Right. And it just got completely slapped back, like everything. I had a friend bought a Lamborghini recently. He got out of that. He only had that, I think, 4 months. And it clipped him a fair wing like that. So, yeah, no, they're definitely not impervious to it. It's crazy because when you look at car sales, like Lambos and like all that high-end stuff, it seems to be creeping up in price recently.
Yes.
But the depreciation element of it does not go anywhere other than down the chute. Like.
Aye. So
certainly in my experience.
Well, and funnily enough, there's some of the new launches. I'm just looking at the screen here. So we had some of the fancy stuff that are beyond most of us at the table. So the McLaren Artura, the Ferrari 296 GTB. So this is the V6 V6 twin turbo, both of them. A V6. What's the Artura 190, and the Ferrari's another 100 on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the thing is, they're 190 out of the box. And then it's like Porsche, you know yourself buying a GT4, like you go in and buy a Porsche and it's, let's say, 50 grand, it's obviously not. But as soon as you put like paint on it, or you put any option into it, it just starts to fly up. Like McLaren's wild for it, everything's expensive.
Yep.
Like the paint on my last car was phenomenal amount of money for paint. The key, actually, I'll give you this for a laugh, the key was colour coded to the paintwork of the car. It was 400 quid. Jesus, for a key. Like it was an Halford spray can, do you know what I mean? I mean, I got two of them, I suppose, but yeah. 400 quid. So yeah, it doesn't matter what price they're on the road at, because they never come out at that. Nowhere near it as soon as you spec it. It's ridiculous, especially McLaren. They're not for me.
Well, but you see, and then I'm going to say something against that, is we're in the last decade of internal combustion cars, right? So there's bound to be something in there that is going to appreciate, because it's going to be the last of its breed. That's what I'm counting on with my Lotus, to be honest.
What's that, a V6?
It's the same V6, Toyota V6 that was in the in my XEs and that sort of stuff, you know.
Well, you would think any limited run performance car that's well received is not going to sink a whole lot.
Yeah,
it'll be mass production, but limited numbers. Of
which the both the McLaren and the Ferrari have been very well received, and as has the and we'll get on Top Gear in a second, Warren, because I know you love Top Gear, but they reviewed the Maserati MC20.
Seen that.
Chris Harris driving it. Looks up.
That. It's great. Maserati brought me to a launch event for that previously. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let me drive it because it was a left hooker and it was a Maserati driver driving it, but he actually said he preferred it at the time. So this is maybe a year ago. Because it was still during lockdown, you had to do like socially distancing, which is impossible in a car, but that was the term apparently. But he drives like Ferraris all day long, and he drives all sorts of high end stuff. And he said that's one of the best things he's driven to date. The MC20. See, there's one delivered here now as well.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, a guy in Lisburn Road that owns clothing company has one. Very nice and
very nice,
beautiful car. Really nice inside as well, and nice, sexy dihedral doors that look cool.
Yeah.
Now, Maserati is something that I would expect you to lose a bucket of money on.
100%.
But that car, would you,
I don't know, again, less than that was like 200 odd, but when you spec it up, you're 220, 230, 240 fairly rapidly. And the problem is you're coming up against everything at that price point.
Yes.
Like, it's not as if you're buying a cheap supercar because it's a Maserati, because you're buying a supercar.
Yeah, you can go buy the Ferrari 296 nearly.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can go buy whatever you want. That's sort of money within reason, buy your very high-end Lambos and stuff.
But Harris, did you see when he was driving it, Andy? Like, it was a twitchy thing, so it was. But he still left it saying, if it was his money, that's what he'd be buying, versus the Lamborghini or the Ferrari rivals of it.
Which I think is easy for a motoring journalist to say.
Yes.
And they're not putting their money behind. They're not dealing with the depreciation.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
And like, it has to be a factor. You're talking about huge sums of money.
Yeah, honestly, it's eye-watering amounts of money. I could tell you what I lost in my last McLaren, but it would sicken you beyond belief. Like, you wouldn't even believe me. Phenomenal amount of money, just like that.
That is a problem with motoring journalism, is that they only look at, they do their reviews and test drives and how good the car is, not the lifetime ownership proposition of it all.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's all they can do. You can't always predict where it's going to go.
He has a very nice collection himself. Like, he does spend his own money on his own cars. Like, remember he bought I think he even
M2 CS, hasn't he?
It's the M2 CS,
Porsche or something.
the green one with the gold wheels. He had the GT4, the GT3 Porsche, the 4.0 one.
He had a 997.2, 4 litre, that's right.
But he even, he showed how he financed and stuff like that there, because he does throw his money into things like that there.
But those are all very shrewd moves.
Absolutely.
He wasn't going out and buying a Lambo or certain things that probably would have... And to be honest, I wouldn't be in a situation where I could get into a Lotus if I hadn't picked... trying to pick a car that I would enjoy, but also would have the residuals, so I could work my way up.
Wise choices at the time. Which does bring on, we're talking about cars, we're talking about the depreciation. The bubble, people keep talking about this bubble that's going to burst. I think with the continual, and we are going to talk about it later on, but the price increases of everything, not just fuel.
Part shortages and all the rest.
Part shortages.
And car shortages are just driving things through the roof,
The bubble it can't continue growing. I think it's going to keep going for a while, but when it bursts, there's going to be a lot of people who didn't get out of things at the right time.
100%. I was in Prentices. I was saying to boys before you came, Andy, looking at an X6 M50i. I looked at a new one. The guy was like, listen, might be 9-12 months. And I'm like, right, fuck that. No, not waiting for that. He said, I have a used one here. It's a year old. And it actually was $4,000 more to go for a brand new car than it was to go for a year old
That's
one.
mental.
And I looked at the guy and I said, hold on a minute. And he said, honestly, that's probably $10,000 more than it should be. It's just because, one, we can't get them, and two, people ban them like that flat out. So it's I don't see it stopping soon, but when it stops, it's going to be hard.
It's made me think, because again, Bavarian, obviously they're dealers and they want to get on and they want to get cars out back of people. They've offered me good money a couple of times now for me to get out of my X5, the M50, because they don't make that engine anymore. And it is tempting, but it's the same thing. There's nothing else to go for.
Yeah.
Anything else is a year away.
And see that whole everyone is sticking with what they have too. The whole car market needs that movement of cars, and because that's not happening, everything's just getting backed up. It's like a huge piece of constipation, as you say. And then
right.
the bed is going to be completely shit at the very end of this.
It's a disaster. Although interestingly, you read before the start of the year, you don't remember, Lamborghini sold out all their allocation for the year in the first month of the year or something. So there's obviously people buying these things.
Oh, there's people still with money.
So we're in this really weird situation. You have Brexit, you have COVID, you have Ukraine, you have the end of the internal combustion car. You add all that into the melting pot, and it's anyone's guess what's going to happen with the car market.
If I wasn't so useless, I'd get a motorbike. I'd kill myself though.
The sphincter's got to let go at some point.
So that's the other thing. And so then we were sitting with this. This price of fuel situation. So someone tell me why. So our barrel price is down. Okay, we have exchange rate issues with all the barrels in US dollar, and our exchange rate's in the toilet against US dollar. But that still doesn't explain why we haven't seen it at the pump. Someone I was reading on the forum that this is to do with usage, and people aren't using as much fuel because of working from home and all the rest, so then they're artificially having to keep the prices up. I don't know if that's true.
But remember, sure, during the whole start of COVID and lockdown, do you remember petrol went down near £1 a litre?
Yeah.
I didn't make that up, sure.
No, it definitely did, yeah.
So, that was obviously the no-use period. So is they now just trying to recoup, do you think? It's trying to get all the money they lost back for the last 2 years?
I think that's exactly it. The money that's been thrown out and the money that's been lost with all the grants, with everything else, they have to recoup it back somewhere. You know,
But like you've got BP and all posting massive profits again.
Yeah,
Like
frightening.
massive profits. So
There we go. Let's just Google that actually, because I remember reading this a few weeks ago. So Exxon reported $5.5 billion in profit.
first quarter profit, like
Yeah,
5.5.
they're still not suffering, even though everyone
No.
else is.
No, that's frightening. Yeah,
Pure profit.
yeah, and we're all paying for it every single day.
it is disgusting.
Yep.
So my X5, I filled it 2 weeks ago. It's averaging about 24 miles to the gallon. Last time I filled it was 144 quid. A week later, 156 pounds.
I filled mine today before I came here, like up the road at Crichton's. 160 on the nose. 100. I actually took a picture to show you. Because I was like, what? Hold on.
And you're probably getting some of it the same about
160 pounds. I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't know what I'm
to
gonna
drive
put
it for
down.
400 miles.
81 litres, 160 pounds.
That's unreal.
It's disgusting.
So that looks like it's on your Insta. We'll have to grab that for the show notes.
You should, yeah, at 160 quid. I couldn't
That's
believe it.
just frightening.
Is that red or green?
Have you seen the price of red?
Oh, no, that's anyways
That's
bad.
it, I know.
Red's like 130 a litre.
But sure, they've banned that as well now, haven't they? They've
Yeah.
crippled all the builders now and all.
Yep.
So it's only agricultural use now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Agricultural use as long as you're staying on site. So as soon as you take your tractor out on the main road, you have to flush the tank out, fill it with white, drive down to do whatever else you're doing, flush the white out then, and put red back on when you're on agriculture.
Good
See a
news.
lot of farmers doing that.
I was going to say, good news, we have responsible flipping
Yeah.
tractor drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the video from, was it last week in the centre of Randallstown? There was like a bale trailer, it must have come
No.
off the back of a tractor and rolled down and through the centre of the village.
Jeez.
That would not have been a good ending.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
But-
I just can't imagine taking a drive out in the country and passing like 45 farmers flushing their tanks,
Flushing
you know.
the tanks out.
Just heading the shop here, how to flush it.
Aye.
Sounds good. I actually heard someone tell me recently. Now, obviously, this could be an old wives' tale and all the rest, but they'd heard of people getting their tanks drilled again and getting their fuel siphoned
yeah.
out. Yeah, I'd heard that was happening again.
Home heating or the car tanks?
No, their car, like their fuel,
Tanks?
car
Jesus.
fuel, yeah, drilling tanks and taking fuel out of tanks.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's lions.
He's upgraded from cats.
After he couldn't hack off people's cats anymore, now he's gone.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is going on?
That's shocking. And yeah, so like we don't know what's coming down the line, so we don't know where the car market's going to go, because you're the weird situation of we're going to possibly have huge inflation, and yet the car market, there's just not enough cars in the market coming through, which is keeping them artificially high. So is that going to just price everyone out? And then what happens to the companies who can't sell cars because no one has them on? Like our companies going to start to go bang? We sure there's Elon Musk says Tesla could go bang.
Yeah. He says a lot of stuff.
Oh, he does.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
he says a lot of stuff.
true.
He likes saying a lot of stuff.
That's true. But like who
It's a
knows?
good question, though.
Who knows what, if we are in a situation where there's what's it they call it, stagflation is this weird term. We've never had to deal with this before, where there's all this inflation but there's just nothing happening in the market.
What about, do you remember the shortage of silicone chips?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
back to normal again, or?
No,
No,
not
I don't
totally.
think so.
Still
No,
backed up.
Because that's starting to affect like my business. So the silicone that was used to make the silicone chips, something
I
like
think your fake tit business.
no, but even the like tire dressings, the silicone content in that there, the number one, they can't get it.
Yeah.
And those who can, like the prices that I'm paying now compared to this time last year, they're like 3 times plus higher for cost price.
Well, sure, as in China, they have these mad rules around, because they still have a bit of COVID, and there's the mad rules about lockdown. So you get 1 or 2 cases, just flipping lock the whole thing down. And then you hear people crying out with, I can't get cars, parts, whatever it is, out of China. They're all sitting there, but I can't get a driver to drive it from the flipping factory to the port, because they're all locked down. They'll be locked down for 2 or 3 weeks. So
We had that
mental.
then as in Ukraine, like one of the big Warren loom creators of the world as well. I found out
a lot
recently.
of VAG, yeah.
And
stuff,
AdBlue as well.
AdBlue, all those paying cats.
AdBlue, don't talk to me about that. See the amount of times I've gotten in a car and it's went AdBlue. I'm like, what? Pig's piss.
Yeah.
Pig's piss, like.
Yeah.
Does my love it.
I see when the stuff leaks out too, doesn't it leave like this kind of like a
Like a white sediment.
white,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
composite.
Crystallized.
Grim.
It's like, I don't know.
And what is it? It's crack. It's like reduces diesel emissions or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
It's
it's a whole,
Fiberglass, almost that kind of
yeah,
texture.
it's a whole flipping another.
We had a company
Scam.
Jagger in here, and somebody left it open in the boot by accident, and it all spilt, and no one looked at it for about a month.
Oh man,
That's just reminded me of fiberglass, kind of effect.
I'm sure it was absolutely
horrible.
stinking.
Yeah.
Oh, it would have been leaping. Oh,
Grim. So no, so yeah, everything's gone to hell. So like, there's China's in with Ukraine, with China, everyone's going mad. Like, I don't know where. I don't know.
you
where
don't
it's
see it
going.
stopping, but do you? Like, fuel just keeps going up.
No.
Like, what was it, a couple of weeks ago? There was a wholesale reduction in fuel cost prices, and the pump went up 5p a litre the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then they promised there would be an investigation as to whether they were passed on at the pump, but sure, nothing's done.
Aye, when they dropped duty on fuel, and not suspiciously at all, the night before, just flipping screw it up. Unbelievable.
we're in the wrong game, boys.
Unbelievable. I know, definitely. But that's the thing. Then what's going to happen in a year's, 2 years' time, when all this money that people are trying to make cream,
Yeah.
then they just
Well, you
things
say
go
that
bust.
there, but it's the same as the guy, the RMS forum member who owns the petrol station at Lochbrickland.
Oh, aye, the guy's doing 99.
Who's doing 99. Like, he had to get 99 obviously because his R35 is mapped for it, but they're making so little money on it. Like, he was, I think the breakdown, and he agreed with what came up. Like, there's more than 70% of the cost of fuel is going straight back into the government in one way or another.
Oh yeah, I think I've read that before. Like, if you own a petrol pump, like, it's not making you any
he's
money.
making-
It's
No,
like pennies.
you need to be selling
Yeah,
Wispas
2
at
pence,
£3.
yeah.
Yeah.
you do,
It's a
yeah.
shop, but
Pennies a
you
litre,
get people
like,
in, hopefully into the shop and sell stuff there, but that's always been the way.
Pennies a litre, and that's all he's making on it. So somebody's making the money. Well, we
Diesel
all know
unders
that.
had the right idea, didn't they? They weren't making pennies a litre.
No, making an absolute fortune. So they were. So, oh yeah, well, that's a flipping world of excitement. And
What do you think we'll
Good
go
news.
to? What do you reckon? What's your prediction for maximum petrol pump price?
oh man,
I'm
don't know.
going 235.
I was going to say, yeah, 220, 230 before Christmas time.
Yeah,
I
235.
think 250. I think once they get past the mental barrier of £2, it'll just jump up. It doesn't really
just
matter.
let it go, do you think?
I think it's this mental thing people have. It's always been 198, 197.
And like, there's nothing we can do. We
Yeah.
all need cars to drive.
someone
whether
said to me the other day, 10, 15 years ago, there was fuel protests when it hit like £1.10 litre. And where's the hauliers and all the ones
Yeah, that's right. They blocked the Channel Tunnel over that before.
Exactly.
Didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. And we're getting none of that.
I think people are just fed up. There's always protests about something, and they've just got over COVID and everything else, and they probably just feel like, I can't take anymore.
Yeah,
I
They're
hope.
sort of
I just
don't
want to get
care
on
what
with
it is.
life.
Yeah, they want out to play again. Yeah, that's true.
That's
Mentally draining. Yeah, I reckon 235, roughly. Which is sick just to say it out loud.
that is 235. So that's an extra 15%. That will bring your tank. Your tank will be for your two X5 owners here. You'll be heading towards
Maybe
the
2
thick end of 2
probably.
ton.
Yeah.
To fill your car.
To drive 400 miles. Rocco will be lying, stroking himself.
This is
Free fuel, Rocco.
Free fuel, Rocco.
Holy
Yes,
says.
Mr. EV. I know. I filled that. I wonder how much I got charged earlier on. I was at the fast charger at IKEA earlier on. Flipping super job. Just in.
Nice.
Flipping 20 minutes. Bang.
What's that, get 80% or something?
Aye.
It's lethal.
Over 200 mile. Like.
But it's also stupid. Like, 'cause I have a friend, she bought a Tesla. She's like, oh, this is great, I can recharge it, blah, blah, it's brilliant. Then she said, oh, I'm going to Dublin next week, I borrowed my brother's car. Why? Well, in case it runs out on the way down. I said, so you bought a car to save money on fuel, to borrow a car to fill it? Like, that makes no sense.
And they've got the Tesla pumps at the Apple Green.
That's
I was down on Sunday. There's loads of them.
It's the range anxiety that comes with it
Oh, the
when
range,
an EV, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
she was petrified to do it.
And a Tesla, she'd have no problem.
Yeah, she would have done it there and back,
Yeah,
easy.
no
It's only 90, 100 miles.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I need to take my brother's
That's
car.
mad.
It's funny though. I was chatting to the guys at Kia earlier on when I was picking the car up, and it's people who are interested in electric cars are not. We always come at it from the car enthusiast angle. Say like, right, they're heavy, okay, they're fast, but they're not. They don't. There's no sound, there's no emotion, there's no soul. Maybe is the word.
So?
But doesn't the Taycan have the audio pumped
Yeah,
out?
yeah, it does.
So I was sitting in London one time and this really nice Taycan drove past and it was like,
Yeah.
it's like, what? That doesn't do that. But obviously it does.
But people buying EVs are like, it's almost like people who buy caravans. They're just they're people who like doing a lot of research online and
They get really nerdy about it. That
Yeah.
they know to the nth degree.
but they're not particularly people who are driving enthusiasts
No.
or
Yeah.
Well, look at Rocco.
It's functional.
Says it all. But you're right. Well, sure, look at Tesla. You buy it online, man. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? You don't even need to go near a store anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you remember back in the day, buying any car, you would have. Like, I don't know how many YouTube reviews I watched the McLarens when I was buying one. Like, and like, you just don't need to do that anymore. Because Teslas are all carbon copies.
Buying an iPhone, you just the newest one comes out, you look at the spec. Oh yeah, it sounds cool.
That's exactly how
there. But you never think about, Sunday morning I'm going to take it down this certain road and do this and do that.
One of the forum questions I think is in and around: would you ever buy a car unseen, like just from England or whatever else? And that, but that's how nearly most cars are bought nowadays.
I bought my McLaren 600 LT unseen.
There you go. Had you ever driven one before you bought it?
That worked well for you.
We'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
no, literally, I'd never. The guy basically phoned me up and said, "Listen, we're going to do a deal in this, blah blah blah." And I said, "Right, okay, fine." Drove the 570S over to pick it up and walked around to it. And he said, "This is it." And I looked in, and the first thing I did was, "Oh, what the fuck are they?" It has the Senna bucket seats in it, which look frighteningly uncomfortable, but they're actually the most comfortable bucket seat I've ever sat in. And I was like, Phil, he was called. I was like, Phil, this is not going to work for me. Like, I'm a bit bigger than some other people. I was like, Phil, I'm a fat ass. This isn't going to work for me. Like, he's like, no, get in. And I get in. And I was like, oh, that's actually really comfy. But that was my only concern when I seen it. I was like, oh, this is going to be uncomfortable. It wasn't anything else. It was literally just, I just bought a car that I've never seen. You're obviously expecting it to be good because it's a high marquee brand, whatever you want to call it. But when I seen the seats, I was just like, ugh, this is not going to work well at all. But luckily enough, the seats were fine. The rest of it wasn't.
The rest of it was.
But yeah, that's the way people buy stuff now.
Mental.
Totally.
Pete said when his Range Rover shit itself and he was left with either like an $8,000 bill to change the engine and get everything else done, he literally flicked down through the phone, saw he could buy a Tesla. He could have it within a month. And he bought it like that.
Yeah.
Had never driven one, had worked on loads of them, and that's literally how he bought his Tesla. That's mad.
But would you do it with a used car?
Buy a used car unseen?
It's different with a new one because you can kind of read the reviews, you can build up a certain picture of the car, and the condition's going to be fine because it's new, hopefully. But for a used one, you've got kind of the mileage and the wear and tear.
Yeah, you're relying on your dealer or the guy you're buying it from being really...
My dad sold quite a few in his business, actually. The people who haven't actually come and seen it. I think recently there were a couple down in Cork and Dublin, and no one came up. They just saw it online and spoke to them and made the purchase. And these are used cars. Can't happen.
That's ballsy, like.
Yeah.
Because you could get anything.
So you could buy a red GT4 that's never been raced or rallied.
You could. One of them sold recently, actually, within 24 hours. And imagine the guy that owned it can actually drive really well as well.
Trailer pulls up, there's a Nissan Micra in the back of it.
Like, it's all fine and well me saying, like, that's a perfect car, but I'm even staggered that, that someone who has never met me before, when, I'll come and see the car would just take my word for it. Whereas when I bought that car, like, I was over and drove it before I bought it.
But again, it's probably part of the fact that it really is a seller's market at the minute, because if you've got a nice car, it's not going to sit for too long. And if somebody doesn't buy it off you, it's not going to sit.
True.
Yeah, and at the minute it's just gone up in value anyway. There's not really a lot of decrease.
So by the time you think, right, I'll come up and see it tomorrow, it's sure someone's totally. So you just pull it, and then is that part of the COVID attitude though? Is that pull the trigger first and then worry about it later?
Possibly, actually, yeah. Like we were saying a minute ago, people just want out to play again. Like, they just want out to do things.
Yeah, YOLO.
Covlo,
yeah. But this is the problem too. So then suddenly people have got out, and now you can't even flip and get on holiday because EasyJet's pulling staff, or what else. You can't. Your home heating oil and your fuel bill to drive the works through the roof.
Hire cars.
So.
Are insane.
Yeah, they're bonkers at the minute.
Oh, really?
We're going out to Spain start of August, and last time we were out there was 4 years ago, and I went back and looked at the hire car I had 4 years ago. It was £300 for 10 days, 605 this time.
Holy shit.
It's just doubled, and that's actually getting a discount on it as well.
That's frightening.
And even tomorrow for England, I'm going over and we looked at hiring a car for the day, and we're looking at £150 for the day for a small, a mini, or something like a Fiesta. It's insane.
For a day?
That's mad. Flights and all are up too. I flew back. I was in Portugal a couple of weeks ago, and I ended up not getting my original flight back. I was up in Lisbon and flew back from Lisbon. £305 for an Aer Lingus flight from Lisbon to Dublin.
Jeez. Which was like a €50 job a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, easy, yeah. Probably €9 job a couple of years ago, but yeah, I was like, this can't be right.
No, all the budget stuff's gone out the window. Even Ryanair, I'm assuming, are way up probably in everything too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything's gone up.
Yep. So it's like, I just don't know, is that going to hurt? Is that going to hurt maybe the lower end of the market? Or people just going to sit on stuff and then there's just going to be less cars there? And I don't know.
No, because again, even when you look through the classifieds out there in RMS, like even the bargain cars
Are a fortune.
Yeah, they're still a fortune and they're moving.
All I can think is that it means that owning a car is just going to become a hell of a lot more expensive.
Do you wonder, is it deliberate?
Black and white.
Is it pushing us towards EVs?
Not even pushing us towards EVs, but pushing us down towards. Do you remember we spoke before about the whole kind of rental car market, and that's where EVs are very much going to fit into, where you pay a fixed fee every month.
You don't own anything. You lease it all.
What's a Volvo? Sure, they brought that Volvo Selector. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
it's a cool idea. I mean, I would never buy a Volvo, but it's a cool idea. Maybe I would
never buy a Volvo.
The XC60 and XC90. No, I wouldn't. I'm lying. I wouldn't buy a Volvo. I'm lying.
You wouldn't, because again,
It's a Volvo.
when I went to look at the Jag, when I bought the Jag Jeep, I had been looking at the Volvo because I did like the look of it, the big T8, but they're only 4-cylinder, and that for me was like literally the point why I wouldn't buy something that size.
They've stopped doing their lovely 5-cylinder
with
cars.
a 5 or 6-cylinder engine, a friggin' squealing pig of a 4-cylinder engine, and it's even worse with the diesels. At least the one I was looking at was the petrol hybrid one, but
no good. But yeah, that's a cool thing they have. You basically rent your car. You can change it every 3 months if you want, or whatever it is.
You just pay whatever it is.
So like an XC60 is maybe £700 a month or whatever, for argument's sake. But that's everything in.
Yep.
And if you want to change it in 3 months, you just change it to another one. They're always brand new. So the idea is probably, they want to get people doing that.
I have to say,
the Polestar 1, that's technically not really a Volvo, but it is.
Those Polestars are some of them are absolutely stunning looking.
A mate of mine bought a Polestar 2 there. He hasn't brought it around for me to see it yet. I abused him immediately when he told me he bought one. Like, they're
a strange shape.
They're weird.
That's what I love about it, and that's what I don't like.
Do you know what? Window. There's a Kia parked outside, which is a bit smarter looking than that.
Yeah. I agree actually, 100%.
True.
But I still think it's quite bold for the Swedes.
Well, their whole ethos on car manufacturing design is they're just trying to save lives. Volvo want to have, isn't it, they want to have some system in place where they never have an accident which results in the death of their drivers.
Yeah.
That's their thing, which is cool, like, if you think about it. But their cars are shite.
I'm just waiting until they come up. Do you remember Demolition Man when Wesley Snipes crashed the car and it was just like the whole inside of it filled with polystyrene? He didn't move.
Foam blew it. Yeah.
That'll be the next thing.
Expanding foam.
Just don't bring the clams though.
I doubt there's any car manufacturers in the world anywhere with any kind of unbroken record of warranties or safety or anything.
Nah, it can't be.
Well, Honda actually, the B-Series engines,
never
blew up.
In
no
the
warranty claims in the engine.
B16.
That's about the only one I know of. That's a long time ago.
The other thing that was happening recently, Goodwood Festival of Speed. Any of you ever been?
No, but after watching this weekend, it's definitely on the list.
Oh my god! I was there 2015, 2016, something like that. Best thing I have ever been to.
It looks
500 mile, absolutely incredible. Do you see that McMurtry electric car going up a hill? Absolutely
flying,
unbelievable. We'll put this in the show notes because it is.
Can I just stick on like 5 seconds of it here to hear the noise?
McMurtry Spearling.
Yeah. I think that was it.
It's just it just looks like something that is. It just looks sped up. It's that quick. 1.4 seconds to 60. And look at it. It looks shrunk. Like,
yeah, it does, doesn't it? It looks like half a car.
That's not. There's nothing wrong with the aspect ratio of this YouTube video we're watching.
No, I think it's just warming the tires here, wasn't it?
It's really stubby. It's like a wee short pencil.
Is this your guy Gordon Murray or something as well?
GM? No, I don't think Gordon Murray
he was involved in this. No,
he's doing that new T50 thing.
Yeah, with the Cosworth engine.
Yeah,
with the built-free engine.
This car to me looks like if a 10-year-old drew what the Batmobile should look like. But there's something about it. I look at it from the side and it looks like, reminds me of a Supra. It's got that
so TVR, you know?
It's so short.
Yeah.
So
narrow.
Narrow and just tiny. Listen to it. Wind up.
You kind of would assume they need a larger wheelbase.
That's class. It feels like it's going to explode.
But you know what that wind up is? There's fans behind it. Sucks it to the ground.
It's downforce, that's right. It has two ton of downforce. That's right. From a
2 ton?
Yep. From the fans.
That's what all the dust coming out behind it. That's the fans sucking it to the ground.
Oh, is that what it does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greatest Dyson you've ever seen.
Yeah. Lotus developed that for F1 in the early 80s, and then it was banned, I think. So
There's
good.
no clearance on it at all either.
No, it's
Thing
right
of
to
a
the
Smooth
dirt,
track.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be no good in the Lauren line with it.
Is everything good in the Lauren line?
First speed bump you come to.
Yeah, that is just
That's crazy looking.
mental.
I've actually never, I haven't seen that full video. I've seen a bit of it, Goodwood, just, but, that's just mad looking.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
So that noise is the fans, just.
That's the fans sucking it to the ground.
Yeah,
And probably a bit of electric wind, but not much.
look at it go. Oh, did they get the record in the end?
Yeah, got the record.
39.
But like everybody else,
39.08.
Average is that an average speed of 150 mile an hour?
Who's piloting it? Oh, Max Chilton.
Yeah,
Nice.
149.13 miles per hour.
And see the Goodwood Hill. It's like a farm lane.
Max
it's
Chilton.
so narrow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
F1 IndyCar star Max Chilton.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. But here,
Look at the comment, fastest vacuum cleaner ever.
in a couple of years, the fastest car to track day will be electric car. 100%.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, definitely, of course.
I've added a link there.
Can't be avoided.
You can drop it in the show notes, but it's the top 10 fastest cars of Goodwood this weekend. And they had a GT3 RS, and it was fantastic. But Porsche have got a GT4 with a full electric engine in it.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Holy shit. Mental. It was faster than GT3.
Do you reckon when all the big boys properly get involved in EV, so the likes of your Porsches, the likes of your high-end Audi RS, like that stuff, do you reckon Tesla's down the drain? Like when the big
They'll
boys
have
get
to up
involved,
their game,
yeah,
won't
they'll
they?
have to, the build quality.
Like what happened to Coupe they were going to bring out? Remember that wee Sportster kind of thing?
It's still, do you
That
know
was
something?
quite cool looking.
I don't think they will, because me and Andy talked about this here. We both had the i4, BMW's i4 M50 out, and I got out of it and into Pete's Tesla and done the exact same drive that we just done, and the Tesla in every single way was a nicer car to drive, more acceleration, more performance. If I was spending that money on, and that was my choice, was the Tesla Model 3 Performance or the i4 M50, which is the performance model, no doubt about it, my money would be in the Tesla.
It's worth bearing in mind too, Tesla at the moment have this range out that are all quite similar, and it's just this phase they're in, so the next generation, will move the game on, I'm sure.
It's hard to know because what you see, BMW, although I don't think it's maybe as well rounded as an electric car because it's a platform share as the Tesla. They're just like, well, it looks like a 4 Series. So you get someone out of 420D into an electric car, job done.
Yeah.
That's why
It's a really, really simple transition. But again, if Tesla are the iPhone of the electric car world, we've all got iPhones at this table.
Yeah,
There's
no
very
Androids
few
allowed.
Android weirdos.
So Tesla's iPhone, everything else is Android?
Except when you say that, well, but Android have the bigger market share. So and we'll look at the stuff that the Koreans are quite quietly in the background. The Koreans are making fantastic electric cars, and interestingly, one of the problems the VAG boys have is your Taycans and your Enyaqs and all that sort of stuff have range issues compared to, and even the BM compared to
the Tesla.
compared to the Tesla or compared to the Koreans.
I think the only one I would buy would be a Taycan. I wouldn't buy any other ones. Just purely because I don't like the looks of them. The Tesla's all...
The Taycan's probably the prettiest, especially in Sport Turismo or something. I think it looks beautiful.
That's very nice.
Beautiful.
That'd be the only one I would buy.
Yeah.
Although, I like that Kia.
You see, but you'd have to give double money. It's double your money for your Taycan.
Easy double your money.
So people, Kia are going to shift a shed load of those things.
The interesting thing I do think about electric cars is, do you know the kind of badge snobbery?
Yeah.
I think some of the badge snobbery is going to kind of dissipate because, you can have your BMW M3, you can have whatever else you want, but when somebody in a milk float can out accelerate you and drive it more comfortably and do everything else, frig your badge snobbery.
It's also leveled the playing field a certain bit because you would have found, there's certain people who only buy BMWs with V8s or V12s, and that level of engine for the refinement and things. But when you're talking about batteries, there's none of that. That's purely, what's your lifespan like, what's the staying power like.
Well, people will buy Tesla because they like SpaceX or thinking that they're funding going to Mars. People are very emotional beasts and very subjective. So of course that you're right.
I think Tesla have had their share of quality issues as well, but that hasn't stopped them selling at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, it's that whole world is going to change, and some of the old players will suffer because of it. Even look at the big conglomerates, so you have like Stellantis, which own all the flipping the Vauxhalls and Fates and all that sort of carry on, they've mopped all up. You could nearly see, right, flipping Vauxhall, do we really need them? Flipping get rid of them, just consign it. Holden gone. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when Elon decides he's going to launch a new car and says, okay, look, everybody, give me £100.
See, that was genius.
That was amazing.
That was genius.
Can you imagine flipping Volvo or Volkswagen turn around and saying, here, listen, everybody gives us £100 because we're going to come up with a new car in 2 years' time?
Yep.
Yeah.
No
Wouldn't
mission.
happen.
No chance.
No
but
mission.
it's also, give us £100, visit our dealer, get harassed by the annoying dealer who phones you 48 times in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you know what? That's all away now with Tesla.
Yeah.
For.
Yeah.
That's the
like
thing.
We're saying, you bad online.
That's the thing about Elon Musk. He really challenges the norms. Like,
I think
wasn't there
it's
somebody
brilliant.
said to him on somebody said to him something on social media about, with all your money you could solve world hunger, and he says, give me a 2-year plan, and I'll give you the money to do it.
That's
and
right.
they never came back with a plan.
$6 billion. That was on Twitter. The guy said it cost.
It might have been the World Health Organization or
Yeah,
something
was,
like that.
it was who?
Aye.
Yeah. Who? Yeah, that's right. And then they never replied, or if they did, he pulled back. Yeah, I don't know. It's mental.
Yeah, but the whole landscape is going to change, and there's going to be casualties.
Yeah, there has to be. Because, like you say, we're going to stop being able to buy proper ICE cars.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, when did ICE change from in-car entertainment to internal combustion
yeah.
engine?
Good
Like,
point.
when did that happen?
Good point.
Like, I remember...
started a website over the whole...
You started RMS.
Literally, yeah.
what
really
happened
mean
there.
sounds. ICE, it's a nice engine buy. And like, what? Yeah, like ICE to me back in the day was like boot bills.
It's now called infotainment. What a real
yeah.
gimpy name.
And as Andy found out, there's absolutely nothing worse than having an acronym for your name, and then 20 years later it means nothing, and you're trying to, what do I do with it now?
I know.
Yeah, because really mean sounds is now RMS Motoring.
Let's just call it RMS and stick with it.
What does it stand for? Nothing.
Nothing.
Doesn't need
Root
to.
means square.
Really means Sailor Boys at one
Or
stage.
retail merchant services as well. The car providers as well. We get mixed up with them all the
The
time.
security team.
Yeah.
Driver end as
That's
well.
right.
Or logistics or something.
But so the whole world is. Look, we're passengers in the whole thing. The whole it's bonkers. There's so much going on. Like you couldn't predict what's going to happen, what's going to come out, what's going to disappear, how much is it going to cost? Can we afford it? Will we have a house over our heads?
Yeah.
Are we all going to freeze this winter?
But more importantly, do the cars have soul?
We're just balls of positivity here.
Well, I tell you something that will have a wee bit of soul. The new M3 Touring. I'm very
Big fan.
Big fan. Absolutely first class. BMW should have done this a long time ago.
Why didn't they? Like, why we've never seen an M3, M4, M5 Touring? Like, why has that never happened?
Absolutely.
Well, there was
no
the
idea.
M5 Touring, the V10 one. Do you remember a couple of years ago?
The E60.
E60.
Oh, yes, there
E61,
was.
sorry.
Yeah, an E61, you're right.
So
I
there was the
forgot about
V10 that there. There was a couple of
But like, that's your RS4, RS6 rival straight away.
I always
like,
found they left Audi to that, and Audi didn't have the A5 out years ago, so BMW did the kind of fast coupe thing, and Audi were doing the estate thing, and that was their niche.
Get a few pictures up of the.
I love it, I must say, but I was surprised there was actually
What,
like
is it-
75% positive response in the forum, but quite a few didn't like it.
Is it a G81? Is that what it's called?
G8
Question,
platform anyway, so it's...
M3 Touring.
Yeah. But so
while we're getting that, do we like the M3, M4 G80
think
platform
it's well,
now?
wouldn't
The front,
yeah,
big, massive grille. Do we all like it now?
I think
I
it's-
prefer the M3 over the M4. I think it looks better. It fills the kind of profile better with it.
We talked about this since the very first podcast.
No,
we're
that's
like
what I mean,
we're like
yeah.
a broken record because I don't know, but yeah, I think it's accepted now.
Because I think it's beautiful from the side and the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the front, you're like,
We'll post this in the show notes. We're looking at this sort of
see that?
got primer grey.
I don't think it
on black
looks
wheels.
really wide there, but I'm sure it is. It has the arches. It's probably just a deceptive colour. But imagine that in red or something.
That interior, those seats are incredible. So I've been in the saloon, like, and they are just
It's
a
the one
work
with
of
carbon
art.
fibre ball holders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just an absolute work of art.
So comfy to get in, but see getting back out of them.
Aye.
The new dash is really nice as well. One of my colleagues has the 340i Touring in this new model, and I was out in it. It's really nice.
Yes, that has the same wraparound dash that
That's the i4.
i4 has, which is different from you guys' generation of X5.
Yeah.
You guys have the separate cluster, but that is.
I do like the M3. I really do. I like it in that Isle of Man green colour as well because it's just so standout.
What's that about starting about 75 grand, and are they all in competition, guys, as well?
75? Are they not like closer to 90? I thought there were 90 plus options, but
Right, what's your numbers? Let's
for
bit of
each,
competition here.
I'm going to pick 82 for a basic M3.
I'm going
For
to
an
say,
M3 Touring? Oh, yeah, they're stupid money now. 88 starting price, probably.
oh, hit it.
starts from 8. There you go.
Flip me. I thought it
No
was
harder
starting-
games, boys?
No.
You should play poker the whole time.
How much is the key? That's what we really need to know.
Yeah. Like, but it is beautiful. It looks great.
Yeah.
But is it maybe just because we haven't seen one properly before that we like it? Because we always wanted to see one.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna take a bit of business from Audi because people wanted their fastest 8 had limited options. Now they don't.
Well, I didn't realise until you said to me, Gary. I didn't realise that Audi stopped with was it the B7? They stopped doing a saloon RS4 or RS6.
That was the last one.
So you can only get an
estate.
You can only get an S4 or S6, and they're all estates. Yeah.
Which was a shame because that was one of their beefier looking cars, the B7 with the bigger arches and things.
Yeah.
And very well received, that car too.
No, cool, but no, I think we like the
We like it.
G81
Definitely.
is a piece of kit.
And then on that subject, there was the M4 CSL, which is going on sale this month, or sorry, next month. I think middle of July.
Those CS and CSL models that are, double the price of the regular cars, I struggle a wee bit with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as that Yara edition bollocks and all they brought out.
Yeah.
Stupid. No thanks.
But again, it's because they know they can sell it that way.
Oh, how much of it is great car and how much of it is marketing department?
Well, it's still to be
Saying you
reviewed,
can-
but like the spec looks amazing. It's had the engine upgrade by 40 horsepower to 550 horsepower. That with dampers, new seats, ducktail spoiler, loads of carbon fibre, all that kind of stuff.
125 grand for a BMW
That's
M4.
pricey.
Like,
That's
I
the
would
thing.
poke you in the eye if you paid 125 grand for an M4. Like,
Probably
yeah.
doesn't even have colour coded keys or nothing.
Like, what do
The thing
you
about-
get for 125 grand?
I know it's a lot of money.
It's like you're not buying an M4 with 125 grand. That's a specialist collector's car that they think is going to be appreciating.
Yeah.
The thing gets me is they keep talking about the weight loss. They've shaved 100 kilograms off it, but it's still is heavier than the last M4, even with that shaved off.
Look, I think the M3 was always about you're getting the best BMW you can offer at a sort of attainable price.
Yep, I agree.
Sort of.
Yeah.
That's like
And now it's nowhere near attainable.
No, it's mental.
I when I was watching Goodwood, so when I was in work, I had Goodwood on the TV, and it was just flicking through it all last week, and they had got the M4 CSL out, and yes, it was putting in stonking times. Yes, it looked fantastic, but I think they really are trying to go back on their CSL heritage here, and I don't know how much it's working with that car.
No, it's again, as a marketing department has been. What's going on with the? So we'll post pictures of this in the show notes as well. So we're looking at the M4 CSL, which if you haven't seen it, it's in the primer grey, but lots of sticky on red bits. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of carbon fibre and then a lot
Carbon
of this red
fibre.
trim.
Carbon fibre is beautiful. I quite like what's going on with the grille. Don't like the red bits at all.
No.
And
Red accents.
And there's wee gurney flaps and bits and pieces.
Look
Going
at these. Apparently, all their badges for them cars are now going to be black going forward.
Oh.
I don't know if that's happening straight away.
They changed the BMW roundel as well. They put this.
So I like the boot lid.
Yeah. There's still something about that 4 Series shape, but fundamentally it just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, if that was an
It's that kind of
CSL.
Infinity, Japanese kind of brand look.
Plus the tires and that look like a 4x4. They just something about it doesn't look right.
That was always the issue when the M3, M4 came out, though. There's so much arch gap.
Yeah.
Like, it was awful when I had mine. I was like, what is it? Looks like it's floating.
Well, and it's probably worse with the 4-wheel drive cars too, because they have to have it sitting a bit higher for all the goblins.
The seats are nice.
Looks nice inside.
Yeah.
Oh, Alcantara wheel. Yes. Loving Alcantara
Yes.
wheel.
Yeah. Alcantara wheel, Alcantara seat center, something like that, so you don't get flipping sweaty arse and sweaty palms.
But
So
again,
I take it this car, that price range and that spec is up against the likes of a GT3 Porsche.
Yeah, it would be up against the brand
And
new
N11, I
GT.
should say, not just a Porsche of any kind. But
Yeah, well, even a base Carrera is what 80 something grand now. It's not 90. Probably optioned up. Probably 100 grand before you
how
start.
much power? They're about 400, aren't they?
About 400
Out of the box.
Th-
And now they're all turbo. You could probably map them right up to 500 very easily.
Yeah, yeah. Again,
so, yeah.
terrible delivery times for Porsche.
but that's what the price. Funny, we're talking about 120 grand there. That's what price an E46 CSL is still getting.
Yeah.
Collecting car sold one there last week for 135, 140 grand for an M3 CSL.
It's mental,
Bonkers.
mental. So,
Wouldn't be getting my 125 grand.
No.
Definitely not.
well, on that, I'm going to pick a good point to segue into yourself.
Are we
Warren,
going to depress me now?
well,
You have to talk about Vauxhall ownership.
and because because you have a bit of an interesting vehicle history, because you are in the lauded levels of supercar ownerships, and some of the cars that I know you've had V10 R8.
Yeah. Or V10 Plus, yeah.
V10 Plus,
yeah.
And the 570S,
yeah.
and the 600
yeah.
long tail,
yeah,
as it's called.
GTR for a while as well. Hated that, as you've probably seen me complain about that many, many times before.
You actually let me drive your M4 on a very rainy day.
That's right.
Up very close to here, actually.
I let pretty much anyone drive that. The GTR was launched up and down Pete's place by loads of people. I was like, walk away. Like, I'm not keeping it. I didn't like it. But yeah, I've had some nice cars. I've been very lucky.
Bit of history going on. So where did it start for you? So why? What?
Do you know what? You're probably not even going to believe this. So like, I didn't really like cars. Was not really into cars because I only ever owned like really boring basic stuff like diesel Audis, and like because you couldn't get insured in anything. Like I'm 37 now. I couldn't actually get insured in anything decent till I was 29. That's when I bought my M4. I bought it 2 weeks before my 30th birthday, and the girl on the phone actually said, "Oh, you'll need to wait until you're 30." So I had to wait like a while to get it. I had to wait like a week or two before I was 30 before I could collect it because I couldn't get insured.
What a birthday present to yourself.
Yeah, well, here, no, it was nice, yeah. It was good. So yeah, I went from sort of like diesel Audi to, I had a breakup with a girlfriend at the time. Just thought, you know what? Just spend it all. You can't take it with you. You only get one go. Let's go. Went in.
On death's door, about to turn 30 here.
No, you know what I mean? No.
Midlife crisis kicking.
So went down to, I actually never forget, it was a real wet, dreary Friday, and went down to Bavarian just to have a nosy. A mate of mine said he knew a guy at work, so I said, "Oh, sure, I'll go down and have a look." Went into Bavarian, the guy said, "Yeah, Yasmarina Blue one there if you want to take a test drive." Slippy day, I'm not a great driver. And I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's go." Took it out of Bavarian, down round Boucher, down round Hillhead, Hillhall, down round there.
Yep.
I got out of it petrified, and I said, "Yes, I would really like one of those." And the guy was like, "Right, let's go in." So I went in, did the deal and all the rest, and then I said, "Actually, hold on, I don't know if I can insure this." I had to phone the insurance company while I was sitting in Bavarian. Like, I just signed everything, so it was done. I'd paid him deposit, paid him everything, and I was like, fuck. So phoned the insurance company, and they're like, "No, you need to be 30. And I was like, well, 30 in 2 weeks, so let's go. So yeah, I had to wait a wee bit to get it. But yeah, so I went from sort of boring diesel Audis to an M4, which I loved. Great car.
Mm-hmm. That was when they were fairly new. So this is an F82 then?
F82, yeah. Yeah, mine was fairly fresh. It was brand new, but it was fairly fresh in the market at the time.
Yeah.
Then, as I was saying there at the minute, we were looking at the CSL, it looked like it floated, so I put Litchfield springs on it, which were incredible. And then I went a bit crazy and stuck a £7,500 Akrapovic exhaust on it. Or sorry, Akrapovic is the proper way to say it. With an Akrapovic rear valance, and that was really nice. Momentum Motorsport did that for me. It was class. And then what else did I do? I tried to actually then get Litchfield to tune it at the time. And they wouldn't touch it because it was in Northern Ireland, blah, blah. So that actually, same thing happened with GTR. So I had my M4 for a while, and then I just got a bit bored. I'd spend a fortune on putting other things in it. Like I put a racing wheel in it and stuff like that there, like a fucking £1,500 steering wheel in an M4. So I did loads of stupid stuff like that, and I was like,
was that the M4 wheel with the...
the lights,
it has the shift lights on it?
Yeah, the shift lights on Alcantara as well.
£1,500 wheel.
Oh, it was great.
Absolutely awesome.
Oh, it was funny fitting it. The guy fitting it, they'd never fitted one before. Guy was like, "What the fuck's this?" And I said, "Oh, it's your performance, whatever it was called. I can't remember what it's called."
Yeah.
So coincidentally, they obviously make more left-hand cars than they make right-hand drive cars. So all the steering column electronics are on the left-hand side of the car. So when the guy was putting the new steering wheel on, he was like, "Mate, there's no fusing or anything for this." It turned out it took him about 6 hours to do a half-hour job because it turned out all the electronics was on the other side. So yeah, I went from that to a GTR. That was like a stupid impulse buy. I really don't know why I bought that. I didn't like that car at all. I got a good offer from my M4. The man who posts half garage pictures gave me a good offer on my M4 at the time, so I got rid of that. Literally drove. Andy knew MCMA from the forum.
Yeah.
Andy picked me up, and we went round to Nissan. Bought a GTR there and then.
And so
that was the first one in Ireland, first delivered one in Ireland. It must have been a cancelled order.
What year of GTR was that?
That was when they changed. So it was the 2017 model, I think. It was when it all changed, the like new A-pillars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the best driving thing ever. No.
Really?
It's just...
Yeah, I can remember from the very start. Like, I can remember meeting you down in Pete's and that there, and you hated it from the very start.
It's fast and straight. Now, it was probably the first GTR you could have a bit of fun in. I actually spun it once, which was pretty good for a GTR. With a friend of mine in the car. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, even Pete didn't mind at the start. And then it's just like, it goes fast in a straight line, and it's heavy, and the interior is awful. Like, it's awful. Like, it's baggy leather seats and all.
Yeah.
But that's Jap spec, that's JDM stuff. I was like, listen, this is not for me. And then the wheels kept flaking. It was sort of shitty paintwork and stuff. So I think I kept that 9 months.
Wow.
And you're going to see a trend here. Then I impulse bought an R8.
As you do.
On the way home from Victoria Square on Boxing Day, I think it was.
All right.
Boxing Day?
We January sales special there.
The 29th. Well, I didn't actually take delivery of it to January to make sure I got the new red, or the new year on it, obviously. But yeah, I was on my way back from Victoria Square, and I called in just to look at the colour. It was Porsche Riviera Blue. And I was like, beautiful. Me, what colour is that there? I literally called in to have a nosy. And I knew the Audi guys from buying all my Audi diesels, obviously, in the day. And then they knew I'd bought M4s and GTRs. So the guy came down, he's like, what do you think of that? And I said, Stuarty, I'm just in to have a look. I just wanted to see the colour. I've literally bought it 9 months old. He's like, no, come on, we'll have a look, we'll do. Next minute, you're buying a V10 Plus R8. It was a great car. I actually wish I'd never got rid of that. Because if it had kept that now, it would have been great. Like, again, I put a Krapovich exhaust on that. It was...
That V10 engine is
like a dragon.
Beautiful sounding thing. Like,
it was phenomenal. And then how I actually ended up getting rid of that, Andy, MCMA again, went to a wee excursion to pick up a yellow car, if you'll remember. And I went with him to Redline, driving over, and he said, what about the R8 Blau? I said, it's dead on, fine. Got there, and the guy that owned Redline, or one of the guys that worked in Redline, had a 570S sitting. I'd never really seen a McLaren. I was like, what is that there? That looks pretty funky. That looks cool. And he just literally threw me the keys and said, come on, we'll take it a drive. Worst mistake of my life. Yeah. That started the decline in the McLaren world. I blame Andy for this fully, by the way. So yeah, I ended up coming back from there the whole way home in Andy's new car. I was like, mate, that was great.
But here, I want to wind back, because you've just
he's completely glossed over the best car that he had.
Well, you've glossed over the R. Now you say that. Now my thoughts on R8s are they are fantastic, but they are so competent.
Oh yeah,
they're nearly
very boring.
They're boring
because
because they're so good.
But it's the noise I loved about it.
Oh, that
and the colour, actually. I love the colour.
I've still got... Do you remember Rennis took photographs of that? I've still got blown up photographs of your R8 in my work.
So that's right. We'd used them for your...
for one of the...
Polyanic photo shoot, that's right.
The only V10s I can think of is the R8, the M5 V60, and the Toyota. What's its name?
Oh, that...
sorry, the Lexus.
LFA.
Oh, the LFA.
Every single one of them, people
LFMAO.
go about the noise. There's just something about a V10.
The LFA is mental noise. But yeah, the R8, when I stuck a Krapovich on it, was just bonkers. Like, it was mental. It was phenomenal noise. Like, and
Quick.
that was... Missed that.
Quick.
Very.
Yeah.
No, McLaren was quicker, like. But McLaren was a good bit lighter as well.
I was going to say that the Audi's a wee bit heavy.
But nowhere near the, nowhere near the song and dance factor that came with it. Because again, V10, like Gaz said, it's just noise.
Yeah.
It's just petrifying noise. Neighbours weren't very happy. Started in the morning. And cold start, it was loud. Like, again, when you put the Krapovich on it, it's really, really loud. But yeah, it was a great car, but as you said, very competent, very boring. Like, literally a 5-year-old child could drive that car.
Yeah.
It wasn't really skipping about at all. It was planted to the floor no matter what speed you done on it. Had a few private road drives in it, obviously, as you do, and like, it went very fast. It was very competent.
It's almost as if Audi have engineered it. So they've engineered
too good
the personality out of it.
But Audi should have done it for the mass market ones and then made a GT3 version of it or something.
Well, I tried
really
to get the rear wheel steer one.
Yeah.
I tried to buy one of those and they didn't get one. I think they only maybe got one. So I tried to buy one of those because I was like, that would be fucking great fun.
Yeah.
Rear wheel steer on that V10.
Well, and one thing they did a rear wheel drive version of it, and I've seen a couple of reviews of those, and I thought the rear wheel drive one would give it a bit of character. But people are saying, no, actually, the 4-wheel drive car is better. I don't know.
See, they don't think they did the performance pack in the rear wheel steer, so it was a bit slower as well. But yeah, I actually did try to get one because I thought that would be great crack.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reviews for them were great.
Yeah.
No, it was probably the car that I wish it kept. That or the M4, I think.
I think I wouldn't put she had an M4, then you had the R35, and I would still say they're sports cars.
Definitely.
And then you definitely moved into supercars.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, how did people looking at you on the road and the perceptions and all the rest of it, what came with that?
The R8 was really funny. The day I picked it up, obviously picked it up in Audi, was driving up to see Mark Keane. from the forum, obviously driving up to see Mark, and I pulled into the garage there in Marino, just outside Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Pulled in, this is honestly, you're not even going to believe it. You think I'm making this up. Pulled in the garage, go out, was literally going in to get a bottle of water, shooting up to see Mark. This guy stood at the coffee machine, followed me with his eyes the whole way round. Like, I literally walked in, grabbed water, out, blah, blah, paid. Just followed me the whole way, then walked out behind me. He was like, is this your car? I went, yeah, I've just bought it there. I just picked it up. And he went, oh, and what is it that you do, if you don't mind me asking? What? I said, that's none of your business what I do. And he went, well, and I said, listen, I work in IT. And he said, oh, right, I work in IT. And he literally said, why do I not have one of those? And like, I looked at the guy and went, what do you want me to tell you? I actually said make better life choices, but that made me sound like a bit of a prick. But I was just so annoyed.
You
I
should
was
have
like,
come up with some kind of false job,
something?
like I'm a fluffer or something like that.
Make better life choices.
skydiving instructor.
Skydiving instructor.
But like, I just looked at the guy. I was like, I don't know what you want me to tell you here.
Undertaker.
But you know something,
Undertaker's a
that's
good one.
actually a really good way to put it, because some people are just nosy fuckers
Yeah.
that you'd love to turn around and say, it's none of your fucking business.
Oh, I did that many times. The
Yeah.
McLaren was the worst for that, obviously, because it looked a lot more special.
But-
Like it
but
obviously did.
Did you find, Warren, when you had like the supercars or the hypercars, that people almost thought that it gave them a right to come and photograph you, talk to you, question you?
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah. People thought they could come over and like sit on your car. And like, I had many arguments with people over that.
I remember us being at shows and even years ago, and you'd always get kind of girls coming over and taking photos, maybe groups of them and sitting in bonnets, and it drove me mad, even if it was my car. You know, just seeing
It
it.
drove me mental. It just used to piss me off. But yeah, like as you say, people thought that because you had that car, they could come over and say, oh, yeah, that's nice. Can I sit in it? I have no idea who you are. Can you fuck off from about me?
Yeah.
What? But see, to be fair, I was quite nice. Like, you used to get a lot of like young kids. So,
Yeah.
like, if you're in getting fuel or whatever, you would have got a lot of young kids coming over, like, no, fucking 15 and lower or whatever. And I was like, yeah, jump in, go ahead,
And
blah, blah.
that's brilliant. But yeah, weird that the flipping with a da or the come over here or something like that. There, just, you
The
know.
best one ever was Jonty off the forum. I met John. I never met Jonty physically before, but I obviously spoke to him a lot. I came in the petrol station in Temple Patrick before the airport. I was in there filling up with fuel. Literally got out, was walking in, and Jonty came walking out as I was walking in. I said, Jonty, what about you? He goes, Warren, how are you? And he said, is that the car? And I said, yeah, and threw him the key and went to pay for it. And it was only after I gave him the key, I was like, I've never met this man. And away he went. So a couple of minutes later, I came walking out, and he just stood there and he said, do you know you just give me the key to your car? I was like, but sure, you're not going to steal it, are you? Sure. But I know I did that. That was very surreal, but it was funny. So you don't mind with nice people or like people you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a totally different scenario. But yeah, the amount of the audacity of some people who think they could come up and say, "What is it you do for a living? How can you afford that? How do you pay for that?" And then the other classic belter is, "Oh yeah, but like it's not yours; it's financed." Right? Okay, so you go and finance it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like I always find that hilarious because not financial advice, but if you have loads of money, don't waste it on cars. Always finance cars.
Absolutely.
You need your head checked if you buy cars outright, in my opinion. But I don't know. So yeah, that was quite funny. But yeah, you used to get people coming up just demanding to know what you did.
Yeah.
And like you can be really nice about it. I had a few like altercations with people the odd time. I had a guy one time, I got out of the car and he said, "Oh, look at that fucking drug dealer." And I actually called him over and said, "What did you say?" He said, like when you call people on to shit themselves.
Yeah.
And he's like, like drug dealer. I said, "No, don't be ridiculous, fuck off." And away he went. But like you just get people who automatically make very bad assumptions.
People can be nice about it and say, here, love the car. You know, it's something
people
as simple as that. Most people are like that there, but it's the one or two.
But that's
ball
NI
bags.
free. There's jealousy issues. Always has been. Yeah.
I couldn't believe the difference between driving the Lotus, especially when they had the Exige. I got loads of interest from the petrol station or something like that, and it was generally like, oh, I used to have an Elise, I had an Elan, I had, you get those like all sorts of ages bringing people out of the work and sort of genuinely interested. See, when I got the GT4, I would get let out at junctions. It was a different type of thing, and I was like, oh,
because you used to walk around like from Joey from Friends in your Porsche baseball cap and the Porsche bomber jacket and everything.
He's not saying no, by the way. He's not saying no.
Yeah, he didn't say no there.
No, that was the best thing about Porsche ownership.
Sticker in the back of his GT4. See, my other car's a Porsche as well.
My other car's a GR Yaris.
Yeah, they're great fun.
Great crack.
Oh, brilliant crack.
Great crack.
See, for the price point, unbelievable. A friend got one a while ago and I had a rip on it and I was like, what is this? This should not do these
They're
things.
so I have
Great
one.
fun. I didn't actually know you had one.
Yeah. So
They're great.
But I thought I'd bring the key. That's how I roll.
Did you plug it in?
He rolls his
How roll silently.
free electricity.
There's my extension lead line on the desk.
Don't rock will be popping up any minute to go free.
18 hours later.
So like I couldn't get over the difference in the way Porsche owners are treated. Although, you know, some types of ownership people bring it on to themselves at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And I am sure that with the supercar thing, you know, I'm sure then you're getting people like, can you come and do the supercar day at this? Can you come and do that? And
like I did a lot of those things because like it was a bit of crack most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's charity, so you're doing the right thing as well.
100%.
Plus, like it's nice meeting new people, like when you go to these things as well. But yeah, it's funny the sort of backhanded comments that come with it. Were always quite interesting. But yeah, it's
so you've got the R8 and you went to Redline.
Oh yeah, Andy, and I should not be friends with Andy anymore. So we go to Redline, and the guy we were dealing with, basically I walked in, I was like, what is that, McLaren, blah blah, as I was talking about, threw me the keys and said we'll go for a drive in it. And I came back and I said, wow, it's amazing, driving up the road. So Andy had just got rid of his R8. He had a Vegas yellow R8 that he just got rid of for a guy, that's Mido Huracan that we picked up. We're coming back up the road in his Huracan, and I'm like, mate, that was great, like I really enjoyed that car, it was brilliant. And Andy's sitting there on my shoulder going, just do it. just change it. Sure, how much will it be? Just change it. And I'm like, no. And then it was maybe weeks later. It was at December. I think we got his car like October, November. And I got that car in December. And I was on having a look. So there's only a couple of McLaren dealers. So I went to Glasgow, the closest one. Get there, having a look around. Online, I'm looking around.
They do Lotus as well?
No, I don't think so. Parks, they do loads of different. Oh no, they do. Parks do Lotus.
Parks, yeah. That's who my Amir is.
Is that? Yeah, they're actually all right to deal with. To be fair. So yeah, went there, picked up a 570S Spider. As I said earlier, it was a former press car, so it had every single option available, which was nice. It drove really well, and then it just kept breaking. Electrical issues is their biggest grief. Like electrical issues in them is unbelievable. Like both of my McLarens had this same issue. You'd walk away, lock the car, and come back and the window would be down. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how much this car's worth. Like, it doesn't matter if it's £1,000 banger. No one wants their window being down their car. So it happened one time with that 570S where it was really rainy and stormy, and the window was down. I came out, and a couple of hours later, and the whole inside of the car soaked. And McLaren are like, yeah, that happens. I'm like, no, that does not happen.
Yeah.
So I started having issues with that car, which probably should have been a sign. It was a Spider hardtop, which was really nice. It looked really well.
How long did you have it?
3 or 4 months I had that because I had so many issues with it. So that's how I got into a 600 LT.
I'm trying to think which one because I had sat in one of your cars, and it was probably the first time that. And this is what I love about you, because you like go and sit and just look around it. And I remember I don't know about my Ev4 at the time or something like that, and I loved the fact that it was so much of it was hand built and all the rest, and I loved like the billet machine flipping stocks and all in that car, and the carbon tub, and the like. It's a real driver's car, like, and it's a real engineer's wet dream as well. Like it's
so the 570 is a little bit more sedated to the long tail. So the 600 LT had no carpet. It was just exposed carbon, which was class. And then, as I was saying earlier, had the Senna bucket seats in it, which were incredible. But again, expensive options for things you probably didn't need, but they made it look a lot better. And from an engineering perspective, it was weight loss time all the way. Because being as heavy as I am, I obviously would have injured the drag of the car. But so the 570 was great, and then I had a roof leak in that as well, and then loads of electrical issues. I actually remember it just coming back from being fixed, and I drove it down the bottom of where I live, and the interior light, your console light on the headliner, just started having its own wee disco. So I took a video of it and sent it to the sales guy, and his reply was LOL. And I went, no. No LOL. Yeah. So that was a disaster.
It was full of water.
Went back.
Is that the seats?
Yeah, that's it there. And actually that orange one was near enough the same as mine.
I'll put that in the show notes
as well.
Pictures of seats.
So they look awful, but they're genuinely...
They look hard, but
they're incredible. They're so comfortable. And they really lock you in. They're really good for driving on. Suter and I had a really good experience in my McLaren, the 600 LT, on a very, very private road. So we did, and the bucket seats are definitely helpful.
What was which McLaren was it that you had that didn't you race on one of the airstrips? Did you race a helicopter or something? Was that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a bit of crack, actually. So helicopters are really slow. So, like, lots of cars would beat a helicopter, but it looked really good for videos.
Yeah.
So, a mate of mine's a helicopter pilot, and he said, listen, we can get this airfield for a bit of crack. I was like, yes, let's go.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, away we went. You could empty a tank of fuel in that in probably less than 50 miles. It was unbelievable. Like, see, when
This is the car that the helicopter was on.
yeah, oh no, the helicopter. Yeah, like you literally could empty a tank of fuel in less than 50 miles. If you turned everything on and drove it in Sport Plus, it was just drank fuel. Like, so it's good fun fact.
Actually, I was in your white McLaren, and we were down at Pete's one day, and this is how like unprecious you were about things. You know, I said, "Here, like, I love the McLaren," and you didn't even take me for a drive it. You gave Pete the keys and said, "Here, take it for a run on it." You know, and it was just like.
Pete used to have that car all the time.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things about you, and again, it's probably why you're a nice guy, and why again people kind of take advantage of your good nature sometimes, you know. But you were just, it was just, here, Pete, take him, give him a good run on it, scare him in it.
Yeah, and he probably
And
did.
he did.
Yeah, because they were rear wheel drive as well, so 570s roughly 570 brake, 600 roughly 600. So yeah, with the 570S for a while, then I say 3 or 4 months I got rid of that, and 600 LT had just launched. So obviously, Gaz was mentioning earlier about having the limited number run car. I thought, you know what, see if I get one of these, just ship it on in September, keep it 6 months, have a bit of crack in it over the summer, ship it on in September.
Make a few quid.
Happy day. That's the thought. I thought I'll not lose any money. So the depreciation aspect you're talking about earlier, that didn't happen. Spoiler alert, I got fucked. So really badly. Even as I was mentioning earlier, like that 570S depreciation was bonkers. I think it was like 55 grand or something that lost in 3 or 4 months. It was insane.
Wow.
And that was back to the dealer who knew how to add all these issues with it.
Yeah.
They were just sort of like, aye, whatever, what are you going to do? I said, what? And McLaren to deal with as well were just, they have this thing called client services, which is just a couple of boys on a phone in London telling you everything you want to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's awful. Oh, sorry. Really nice tones as well.
Did you ever get to go to their amazing technology centre in, is it Woking or whatever it is?
No, they did invite me to it when I bought the 600 LT. They also invited me to McLaren Pure Track Day as well when you bought the LT. If you buy any LT long-tail model, you get invited to do all this random stuff. Obviously didn't go to it. So yeah, moved into the 600 LT thinking, excuse me, keep this 6 months, we're good to go, happy days. That's obviously not how it went at all. So I bought that. Not a lot of people know what I'm now about to tell you. I drove it out of the garage, 45 minutes down. Is it the A8 out of Scotland? What's
A75.
The A75.
Yeah.
Driving it down there. And I'm like, this is not happening. Pull over to the side of the road. Active dampener fault.
You're joking.
I'm like, this can't be true. So I phoned McLaren up. The guy's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm literally stranded here at the side of the A75. What am I meant to do? So I can't remember if it was limp mode or not, but I ended up having to drive it back anyway. So I'd now missed my boat at this stage. Everything was a bit of a disaster. When I walked into the showroom, there was no one there. They'd all ran away. So I walked in. The sales guy sheepishly came out, and I just handed him the key and said, listen, I'm not here to shout today. Can you just get that fixed for me, please? So away I went, came back about an hour later.
Because these are the same guys that dealt with you over the 5.7
one.
So they had unleashed the beast prior.
And at this point I was just done. I was just like, man, honestly, like, I couldn't believe it. So handed him the key and just said, get it fixed, blah blah. I went and had a bite of lunch, came back about an hour or two later, and they were like, oh no, it was really basic, it was a sensor. I said, are you fucking stupid? I don't care what it was, it shouldn't have broke. So I was 45 minutes into ownership of a brand new 600 LT, which
at roughly what price, Warren?
What do they start from? Just give us
what do they start from? That's
give us a ballpark.
What do you do for a living?
Drug dealer. It was 219,000.
Okay, so you're 45 minutes into spending 200 grand plus on a car, and these guys at this stage were like, yeah, fuck you.
Basically, yeah. And I was like, this is unreal. So anyway, bring it back home. Eventually, get it home, starts doing the window thing, and I'm like, no way. I'm like, this is not happening to me. I'm like, what is going on? So then it drove fine for a while. CCRS must have made a fortune, by the way. CCRS took that back and forth to Glasgow probably 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
So away it went back to Glasgow, had a window actionator or something replaced, came back, fixed it on. And then it was actually okay for about 5 hours, and then something else broke in it. I have a whole, honestly, so if anyone listening knows, I had a 28-month long legal case, so couldn't really talk about this for a long time. So I have lists of things that were wrong with the car, obviously, which I ended up winning the case, which was good. I got my money back. That was nice. But
was it all minor stuff, or was it major, any like engine failure?
It was minor build-up, but
minor enough to really
constantly reoccurring.
Yeah.
So I had to learn the Consumer Rights Act and everything. So reoccurring faults and all this here, and what is a reoccurring fault and how do you define it and all this here kind of crack. So yeah, I had electrical faults constantly. It then literally driving home one day, I was driving up the hill to where I live, and it started beeping again at me. And I'm like, what is going on here? But it went into limp mode then, definitely, because I remember that, because it was literally, fuck, I'm only 5 minutes from the house kind of thing. Drove in, phoned the guy again at McLaren Client Services. I'm like, listen, my car's broke again. And obviously he didn't know who I was, and he was like, sir, what do you mean again? And I'm like, give him the reg of the car, and he looked it up, and he just heard his voice dropping. All right. Was that not just back? So away it went again. The rear wheel speed sensor that time. So he had another sensor. So again, all this electronic crap that kept going on and on. Came back then, and I can't remember if that was the time it came back damaged or not. They damaged it twice, which was really good of them. I'll tell you the best story I have with it, though. It was away one time because it was broke again and getting fixed. Guy phones me up. All right, boy. I go, hello. Who's this? And he goes, it's such and such transport. And I'm like, right, hello. He goes, picking this car up here. Like, is there anything about it? Like, what is it? Will she go on a low loader? I was like, what? Who are you? So this is some random guy. So McLaren generally used CCRS because it was on a covered transport and it was all nice new stuff and was looked after well. But for some reason, so whenever your car breaks, whenever your McLaren breaks, you phone McLaren Assist, who's just the AA. They don't tell you that at the time, but it's just the AA Premium or whatever. So AA Premium had arranged this transport this time, and I was like, this can't be happening. This is definitely the time it came back damaged the first time. Stephen from CCRS, I phoned him and I was like, Stephen, I need you to pick my car up. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, there's some random boy going to pick it up from the docks later on tonight. And to be fair, like, Stephen was like, listen, Warren, we're flat out, let me see what I can do, I'll ring you back. So I phoned the other guy back and was like, listen, don't you begin near my car. He was going to come and pick me up and all, because I was like, no, just leave it, go away. So anyway, I phoned McLaren Assist, explained the crack to them. They're like, right, okay, no problem. At this point, when I phone McLaren Assist to say, listen, CCRS is going to pick the car up from Belfast Docks, the guy on the phone goes, we never picked your car up. And I went, what? He said, we don't have your car. I'm like, you definitely do. So I phoned Glasgow McLaren, and they're like, no, your car hasn't been picked up.
Oh my, holy shit.
So I'm like, hold on a minute. I'm like, what? You've made it disappear now, great. So yeah, they had no idea where it was for hours, literally hours, and then about probably 6:30 that night, I think must have been on the 6:30 ceiling, it was eventually found. And I'm like, so you just let someone, so they let the car leave Glasgow McLaren at 8 a.m. that morning, but no one thought it would be like interesting to record who took it or where it was going or whose it was. Nothing. They thought this was all useless information.
Mickey Mouse, isn't it?
Now again, it shouldn't matter if that car is £10 or £100 or whatever. Like, it's like when a car leaves anywhere for that kind of stuff. So anyway, they eventually find it in the track of black, blah, blah. So Stephen then phones me back and he said, listen, I can grab it later. So as I said, I phoned that other boy back, told him to go nowhere near my car. Stephen then phones me about probably 10 o'clock that night. It had went back this time for a door issue. So dihedral doors lifted up, but it was catching. It damaged the paintwork on the inside because the door had dropped. Honestly, getting flashbacks here. The door had dropped, and so the interior paint was all fucked on the door sill.
Yeah.
And they were like, sure, we'll just paint that. I'm like, you just don't get it. Like, they just have no experience of how to deal with high-end cars. Like, and that's all they sell, so it makes no sense. So anyway, Stephen comes up and picks it up, phones me about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And he goes, Warren, I've got your car here at Belfast Docks. I'm like, happy days, great. And he goes, yeah, the whole back end's damaged. And I literally burst out laughing and went, okay, good one, yeah, brilliant. And he's like, no. He sent me a 3-minute long video on WhatsApp of all the damage. So it had a very large carbon fibre diffuser with like spikes out of it, or whatever you want to call them.
Canards and
and it was all wrecked. So no one obviously claimed responsibility. It wasn't McLaren, it wasn't a transport company, it wasn't a boat company, it wasn't anybody. No one claimed responsibility.
Mystery man.
And I said, well, it fucking definitely wasn't me. So they then obviously accept responsibility for it, blah, blah. So that was December, roughly. So I now had the car about 6 months. Depreciation on it was eye-watering. That car, as I mentioned, there was 219 grand. Whenever I went back to McLaren and said, listen, can we do a deal on this, blah, blah, 123 grand they offered me.
Holy shit.
As a part exchange.
What?
As a part exchange. And
I
I was like,
what the
"Are
cash
you-
offer would have been.
Are you insane? Do you think I'm buying another one of your cars? I had a whole rigmarole with McLaren Client Services about buying another car and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, we're now in December. The car's been back to McLaren probably 5 times. Damaged twice. Wrecked. I'm raging. Cracking up. Stephen brings the car up to me. I go to get in the car. The original issue went away for, the door issue, which had definitely been fixed, had been checked by McLaren's techs, been checked by the sales guy, been checked by the warranty guy. I went to open the car door. Same thing. And I literally just turned around, I looked at Stephen, gave him the key back and said, take that back. Stephen was like, what? I said the same issues there. So I actually think that was November 26th. I think it's the last time I physically saw that car. I think it was around then. And that's the way it went. And 28 months later, I got my money back with a very, very long case.
Am I right in saying as well, you were like, you couldn't speak about it?
Yeah. Because
You were banned from talking about it?
There was a whole legal... I mean, there was no NDA or anything associated with it, but
Would have hurt your case, probably.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made any sense to be talking about it. Because everybody kept saying, oh, go to like Facebook and social media. And I'm like, but that doesn't benefit me. Like, I don't gain anything. I just look like a prick shouting on social media. So I just had to leave it. And it was awful. Give you another funny one as well. When it went back that time, this was now December. And they phoned me up. They're like, are you collecting your car? No, I don't want it anymore. I'm rejecting it. I'm going down the rejection process. They're like, all right, okay. So I'd had a hire car now. So if your car goes away, they give you a hire car.
Kate?
No, sadly not better. A 5 Series diesel 520.
And we all know how you love BMW diesels.
I love a 420D. Do you remember? That was a fucking disaster. So actually, I was a bit of a prick then. I phoned up and complained and said, are you like joking here? You sent me a 520D that was probably 4 or 5 years old. And they were like, well, what do you mean? What's wrong with that? I said, you've just taken away a fucking 200 grand car here. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, we'll send you a prestige car up. Right, okay, great. What arrived?
530D?
No, but that would have been great. A disco.
I know.
A disco. I'm like, is this... So I just phoned the guy. I was like, listen, no worries, fine, that's all good, thanks. So then, I'd now had a hire car for a few days, blah, blah. They were wanting me to take the car back, and I said, no, I'm not taking the car back. So they then phoned me up and said, oh, we're coming to collect our hire car. I said, no, you're not, because I'm like in a dispute case with you at the moment. Their response was, I think I had this in email, we're not obligated to keep you mobile. I'm like, all right, sound, okay. So then I had no car for a while, for probably a month or so. And then it took me into January and started getting borrowing, stealing cars along the way and doing what I could. And eventually, 28 months later, I got the decision through. But honestly, the process associated with it, I would never buy another McLaren.
Excruciating, I'm sure.
So, not only would you not buy another McLaren, but this is a key question. If there was a dealership here in the country,
Definitely not.
still not.
No, you would throw stones at the windows.
And has it put you off like supercars in general or just McLaren?
Good question, actually, to be fair. So I'm in an X5 Jeep at the minute. Obviously, we're discussing. It's comfy. No one bothers you. No one asks you what you do. No one wants to talk to you or sit on your car or take pictures of your car. You just get let out at junctions and away you go.
Yep.
I don't know. Like Ferrari took me away to drive the F8 when it launched last year. Phenomenal car. So I imagine the 296
Is that the
is really
Tributo one?
Yeah, Tributo, yeah. It was really good. I actually got to go with that on a big mountain pass and then on a track.
Oh, amazing.
So it was great crack. But they're too mileage sensitive. As soon as you drive one, they're dead in the water. Like, no one wants to own a Ferrari with more than 5 miles on it for some bizarre reason. So I don't know. Supercar wise.
But that's interesting. Was it in the fact that you had owned, when you were going to buy the 570S or the 600, were you going around Ferrari and all the rest, or did they know?
No, they knew.
So in other words,
I'd been there maybe at friends or car events, obviously, because obviously
Yes.
Ferrari hosted
Yeah,
a few.
yeah.
But no, they knew. Like Maserati, I'd never bought a Maserati in my life and probably never will. But like Maserati contacted me about the MC20 launch.
Yeah.
They wanted to take me to, I think it was Turin or something for the MC20 launch.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks.
So like when you buy something, like say when you bought, probably not when you bought your GTR, but probably when you bought the R8,
Yeah.
you ended up on a marketing database somewhere,
Probably, yeah.
and then suddenly you became a prospect
Yeah.
for.
I have a
all
theory
these
actually
places.
that all those guys you're bumping in the petrol stations were Maserati spies.
Yeah. Just
Ferrari
waiting for the
spice.
day. We've an MC20 coming in 5 years. Prepare yourself.
But right enough, like the customer data that some of these places hold must be, it's probably quite a small list of certain and then you're a target
It's a
for
very focused market, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And now, to be fair, they're never aggressive about it.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just it's just interesting.
But yeah, they'll
how
know
that's
who you
all
are.
happened. Yeah,
like they'll know
Yeah,
who you are.
if you're a supercar owner in Northern Ireland,
you suddenly
you'll be known.
You suddenly go onto a radar of because that's how these people
Well,
sell
they could be
cars.
buying DVOA info like everyone else, or just looking up Ferraris,
Oh yeah,
Maseratis.
good
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's how I would do it.
yeah. So
That's how you would do it, or how you've done
Well, how I would.
it. Yeah,
we have the technology.
No, we do.
but that's even interesting in itself. That so we talked about going to the supercar events and see the last couple of years because of COVID and all. I think people have just went to hell with it. I'm going to go, and all the stuff's coming out. Seems to have come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
and it's class because we get to see.
You
so
see
much.
everything now.
Yeah,
like
it's amazing.
you see everything now. Like mine, I would have took it to anything.
Yeah,
Like my favorite one was probably the Supercar Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy with me who was involved, or sorry, as part of our ambulance. Sorry, it was the Supercar Sunday, our ambulance. I had a guy who was involved in a very nasty motorbike accident, and he only survived because of the air ambulance being there. So like that was great to do something like that.
Brilliant.
And you get down and people see it and they'll donate because they want to get in and see the car and take a few photos and stuff.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that's great. Like that's what we should be doing with stuff like that. I'm not saying you need to bring out your limited edition this or your limited edition that, but like if you've got the time on a Sunday, generally when they are,
Yeah.
like get out there. Even someone will throw 20 quid in to see a McLaren.
Yes.
Someone will throw, like when you get your Amira,
Yeah.
like no one's going to see those. They're going to be like, what the fuck's that? So like taking that stuff, I know you probably will, like, but taking that, the stuff's going to be really beneficial to the charity side of it. I like that side of it. And
that's awesome.
It's a more respectable environment too. We were at the thing at Bishop's Court last year, and it was brilliant. For the amount of people, there's no hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked class. Actually, I didn't go to that. I had no car, obviously, which was fun. Yeah, but it was an experience. I'll say that it hands down the best thing I've ever driven. The 600 LT, hands down, fast as fuck, stick to the road, rear wheel drive. You can throw it around circles if you want. Like it was great.
Yeah.
Like Pete ride the balls out of it loads of times. It was a great great car, but. No, actually, here's another funny thing. Oh, just remembering this now. I was stopped by the police one time, coming back from, I think it was maybe in Portrush or something. So I was driving down, coming into Sandy News. I had no front number plate, obviously, because I don't like front number plates. I undertook a police car, but at normal speed, just normal speed, because he was going really slow on the big Discovery thing. I undertook him. He let me drive about 30 seconds. And I'm all chuffed to bits thinking, oh, sorry, we're getting away.
And he's all on the flipping ANPR, giving it the whole
bang, lights on.
He was on your LinkedIn profile and all before.
Probably. He didn't ask me what it did actually.
There you go. He was.
So yeah, he jumps in and pulls me over, and I'm like, oh no. 45 minutes at the roadside. Didn't believe me I owned a car. Didn't believe the car was insured. Like all this, I'm looking at him going, what? I said, do you think I'm just driving this randomly on the road? And he's like, oh, like this is not your vehicle and all. And then I must have just been changing the number plate, the XEZ3. It must have been fairly short after it got it actually, because the old number plate was lying in the boot, or the front as it is. And he opened it up because he obviously had never seen a McLaren, so he wasn't sure what was where kind of thing. And he opened it up and the old plate was in it. And he actually said, see, we've caught you with a non-cherished plate here. I'm like, what? He said, oh, you haven't moved this plate across, I bet. I said, literally look it up. Like it's there. It actually calls it yellow for some reason. So it does. It was orange, obviously. So it had honestly 45 minutes at the roadside telling me that the car wasn't mine, asking me like obviously where I lived, all this normal stuff, and then made me get 4 brand new tires. So they came with like asymmetric cut slicks on them. Like they're fully road legal. I was like, well, what? And he's like, oh, they're not a legal tire. And I said, well, if they're not a legal tire, then give me 3 points for each one of them. It's not legal. I'm not going to do anything like that. I said, well, you're telling me at the roadside I don't own the car, it's not insured, and now my tires are illegal. So, like, what are you talking about? So he gave me this thing called a VDRS or something it's called. So it's basically a wee slip that the headmaster gives you, and you have to take it into the nearest police station once you've resolved the issue. So the issue here was I had to get 4 new tires. So this brings you to the funny bit after talking about driving it hard and stuff. Drive around to carry off tires, get 4 new Pilot Sport
Ling
4Ss. Yeah. 4 Ling Longs. 4 Pilot Sport 4Ss on it. Way we go. The guy has it up and he calls me over and he goes, so there's a whole carbon fibre and order tray on it. He calls me over and he goes, you know there's a load of bolts missing in this? I went, what?
What?
He said, like, there's a bolt missing there, but I said, are you taking the piss? And he said, no, come on. He called me onto the car and showed me the missing bolts. I phoned McLaren up to say it had just been for a service. I phoned them up and said, do you understand that there's like bolts missing in the under tray? You know what they said? You must have been driving it excessively.
Because all the bolts will fall out.
I'm like, are you, what? So, yeah, it was a joke as well. So, yeah, I had 4 new tyres. Then I had to go to the police station with my wee permission slip and get a constable to come out and look at the car.
Come out and look that you've had 4 new tyres that he wouldn't know.
Had no wing.
From one end to...
Had no clue. Like.
That's ridiculous.
So that cost me, I think, 1,200 quid. After getting abused by 10 that don't own the car.
And so you were abused but at the roadside to then go and get it royally.
Yeah, and that was like literally weeks later is when I got rid of it. Wow. It was maybe a month or two, but yeah, like literally weeks later.
That is an endeavour. That's an experience. Man.
Patience of a saint.
I think. Well, see, this is the thing. Everybody says that. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're not going nuts and cracking up." You can't. Like, there's no one to shout at.
No,
like you can't. There's
no
point.
It doesn't get you anywhere because you just look like.
I look like a dick.
You look like
for
a
nothing.
dick. You're going, oh, look at this. Billy Big Balls has bought it. McLaren can't afford it now and is now shouting about he wants them to take it back. So no.
Yeah, funny. I had a few people say that to me. Oh, you must have lost that car. You'd like, what's happening? Blah blah. And I'm like, actually, no. I'm still paying for it.
Yeah.
So that's another
you
thing.
had to pay for it that whole period.
28 months. Payments. Had to keep it insured still as well.
Painful.
I eventually sorted it, but I had to keep it insured as well.
That's frightening.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
That's an ordeal.
So a nice big 2 fingers up to McLaren Glasgow then.
Yes. Well, to be fair, no, McLaren Glasgow were right, but to McLaren Automotive and Santander, who financed it, or McLaren Financial Services, whatever, like awful to deal with.
Yeah.
Like brutal. And just to circle back to Gaz's original question, would I ever buy another supercar? I don't know. I certainly don't think I would ever buy another McLaren, which does kill me a wee bit because I really love the 720S.
Maybe time and distance. So.
And I really love the 765 LT. Oh, that's great, but no, not right now.
Look, I could see something like that with second, like for someone who clearly loves cars, clearly loves driving, you know, has real taste, and like something like that, I can just understand how you wouldn't want.
Put you off.
Like, yeah, like I'd be like, why even sitting here with us? Why you even join? Why even be an RMS? You'd just be like, no, the hell is all.
I know.
Like, well, if it's a $2,000 car, $10,000 car, $20,000 car, you just want it to work. You just want to get in and enjoy it as a car enthusiast. But especially a car that value you would expect that's built to a certain level of reliability and refinement and everything else. It's not going to fall apart. And shit does happen sometimes, but they happen to that kind of, you know,
happened twice.
Regularity.
Yeah. It's just their electrics seem to be, I don't know, they're...
Well, I'll give you an example of like what I took from hearing about this was that when I was looking at buying the GT4, it's the most expensive car I've ever bought, and I was looking at, well, what else could I buy? And I could very nearly afford, probably at the cheaper end of the market, a 570S, and I thought, I would be able to afford a car.
They're incredible value for money.
But I don't, but then another experience, I was like, I just couldn't deal with any of that other stuff at all. Like, it would just put my lights out.
Like, the experience you've had is actually probably what people would envisage 80s supercar ownership to be, because Ferraris used to always break down and stuff like that there, but then nowadays they're saying Ferraris are so reliable compared to what they were.
Well, I was actually thinking that was
no one drives them, that's why.
I was actually
Ferrari drivers don't drive their Ferraris.
It's like what old Lotuses used to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you would never buy one.
Just windows would break, doors would break, stuff like that. Yeah, simple
electrics,
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
See the amount of times I've been like tagged on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, like there's a guy about to buy a McLaren and they're like, Warren, can you talk to him? And like you tell people what happens and they're like, no, but it's fine. And the reason why I think they do that is they're getting a proper supercar for very good value to money if you look at what else you can buy for the same value. Like 570S's drop like a stone.
Well, they were, at the stage they were about 80 grand or something like that, weren't they?
Yeah, for like a decent one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, petrified in McLaren, which is a shame.
Yeah, but and just killer. You know, your supercar experience was the R8, which was
which is
pretty much perfect.
Yeah, it was great. I knew it. I had one issue with that. The carbon fibre spoiler had a bubble in it. Drove it down to Audi. Audi were like, yeah, no problem. Put a new one on. Ordered me a new one. That was it. Actually, that was fun as well. I had 2 days or 3 days after owning it, new windscreen. Driving it home. I think it was 2 or 3 days after I bought it. Was driving it up through Bangor, actually, I think. and a big stone hit it. But there was nothing there. You couldn't see anything because it has like a sun trim at the bottom of it.
It's a Rocco.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Rocco. Jealousy.
So it hit it, and I was like, oh, it's fine, dead on, happy days. Eventually got to where I was going, got out of the car, opened it and looked around, and there was like a bullet hole in the windscreen. I was like, what the fuck's this? And then it eventually started to spider, so I had to get it replaced. So you phone... Actually, I was quite lucky because it was on Audi's insurance then, because it was within 7 days, so they give you 7 days free insurance.
Yep.
So I phoned Audi's insurance, and I go, here, listen, my windscreen, blah, blah, blah. And the guy on the phone was like, yeah, no problem. So it basically puts you through like auto glass or whatever. And really reassuringly, and he said, oh, we've never done one of those before. I'm like, okay, great. We'll come to the house and do it. I said, no, I will meet you at Audi. You can do it at Audi. But Audi don't really care, to be honest, because it's just all shipped out to other people. They're obviously really skilled, and it was put in, it was fine. And then I think 2 months later, I had to get another one. So 2 new windscreens in about 3 months.
But again, something...
It was a great car.
That this is kind of where, you know, when you're buying prestige cars, when you're buying cars at a certain price range, and you know, we're talking about high end cars here, be it your X5s, be it your Porsche, be it your McLaren, be it whatever else. It's the dealership experience that you get, which makes such a difference. And for somebody like Audi to turn around and say, yeah, because I'm sure a windscreen in an R8 is probably £800 or £900 for it.
Probably.
Yeah. I'd well imagine, but it's just take it in.
Maybe that's where McLaren's shown, you know, their kind of rookie side, because they don't have the 30, 40, 50 years of experience.
Now, their sales process is great.
Yeah.
Like the McLaren sales process is really nice. The guy I dealt with was really nice to deal with. It's just when stuff starts going wrong, they just fob you off this call centre, McLaren Client Services, and you sit and talk to them all day. And as I say, they're really nice and speak really well, and they want you to feel comfortable and all this. So they just tell you everything you want to hear. But then nothing actually ever happened.
No resolution?
Nah, none at all, man. None at all.
Well,
second.
So you've been through that. You've maybe had time to gather yourself. Are you going to go again? And if so, what?
Well, you can't even buy a new car at the minute. Actually, to be totally honest, I went into Audi to try and get an R8, and the guy I dealt with in there was like, we're not allowed to sell it. We can order you one. It's 12 months. And I'm like, nah, it's all right. Then went to a couple of different other places. Looked at an SVR. Couldn't get one of those. 12 to 18 months. BMW was telling you about as well, same deal. But obviously that's the same for everybody.
Yes.
So you can't order anything new.
But a man like yourself, I think we know now from what you're telling us, like when you want something, like you want it like immediately.
Yeah, I'm very impulsive. Unfortunately, it's not a good way to be. Like you shouldn't.
But it makes for great stories.
It does. Like you shouldn't be buying cars impulsively at 200 grand. Like that's retarded. Like it shouldn't happen, but it did.
It did.
Couple of times.
It does.
But sure, there we are.
And you've got stories to tell.
I do. Don't know whether anyone wants to listen to them, but it's stories to tell.
We can listen all evening.
Well, I can't believe the time, like that, an hour and a half, 2 hours just vanished there. That's unbelievable.
No way, really?
Yeah, that's
cheapers.
Yeah, so I think thanks very much, Warren. I think we've some questions here, and chip in with some questions from on the forum members. And the first one is from Enda. What gives a car soul? We need to knock this soul nonsense.
This has to be knocked in the head. This all started, and I'm not even going to talk about it because we had a whole section talk about where I've never seen something blow up as much in RMS in a long time. It's what a load of whinging and whining and crying. But basically, what gives a car soul? Some people think electric cars don't have souls. Some people think that for a car to have soul, it has to be an out clapped out something. That
we can hear you all at home saying Kia. We know the Kia soul joke. If it's done to death,
but
for me,
noise. Yeah.
To be completely honest, like for me, noise. Like the worst thing I ever did when I changed from the R8 was lose the noise. Because like the McLarens aren't very noisy.
Yeah.
But for me, it's noise in a car. Now that's obviously going to change in the next while, and that will need to be. I don't know. I think maybe now for me, the soul is just getting into it and driving it and everything working. I know that sounds really simple, but I haven't had that for a long time.
Happy wife, happy life.
Correct.
I just think if it could stir a good emotion in you, you know, and that can come, as you say, Warren, from the noise of the car. It could be also just the engine, the responsiveness, the handling. There's so many things, or a combination of all. But if you get out of the car feeling a bit of a buzz or in a good mood, if had a good time in it, then the car got a bit of soul.
Well, I always think of the VTEC stuff we used to have. So
you just loved wringing its neck.
Yeah, you know,
I probably feel dead this now, but at the time it was great fun.
But a hatchback or whatever that revved to 9,000 RPM and just had this massive changeover and just so exciting.
The S2000, I know I've said this a million times, the S2000 on an early weekend morning down a back road, that was empty, and at 9,000 revs, just
Cars that want to kill you, Honda S2000.
you just wanted to stay in that moment forever,
literally.
you know. Loads of fun.
So
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, soul for me is definitely the noise. Like, as Warren says, and that's one of the things, you know, at Car Wow, when he does his Car Wow videos, the amount of performance petrol cars now that have those soft limiters, it's ridiculous. And like, they rev to like 3,500. There's no burble, there's no overrun. Sound is definitely a big thing on it.
Yeah.
But I think I had written, there's that, it keeps the Jeremy Clarkson, like, sort of clippings of what he says, it's showing up on TikTok and loads of things like that there now. But that literally is it. If you're a car guy, you know what soul is. You know, you've just got that feeling after a drive, after the noise, after the smell, after whatever it may be. But that's what soul in
Maybe
the car is.
a connection to the car.
connection,
of some
yeah.
kind.
which I just stuck up my review of my GT4 there at the weekend on video, and one thing I said in it was, it's cars like that sound great and drive fantastically and give you all that feeling, you know, that normally aspirated engine, and you can just feel the power building. It's not like an EV, we just have this flat power curve, which is great to do a quick overtake or to do a flipping 0 to 60 or a quarter mile, but you don't get that feeling of involvement.
Yeah.
No, honestly, there's nothing more fun than thinking a car's going to kill you. I remember doing a drag event at Bishop's Court years ago when I just got my M4 and traction off everything to launch it. That was.
I was there and I didn't know you at the time.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah.
So it kicked right out, and luckily I caught it and brought it back.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was Ben, Oval 56.
56 Oval, yeah.
It was Ben commenting, like he was doing the announcing stuff for it, and when I got back to him, he said, "What the fuck? How did you just catch that?" And I said, "Mate, I don't know. I just grabbed it, shit myself." But yeah, that car had soul for that. I remember that vividly.
Yeah, well, anyone who competes in motorsport as well, I remember the drifting, and when you're sitting sideways and flipping, revving up all or something, all you smell is super octane tire smoke.
Funny you say drifting, and I'm going back over at Goodwood. That was one of the favourite things about Goodwood this year, was they had the drifters down at it.
Yeah, Mike James Dana, was amazing.
It was brilliant to see. Brilliant.
Yeah, okay. So, next question is from Rigger. Red sauce or brown sauce?
I'm going to go for HP Fruity.
Interesting choice, HP Fruity.
I've
right?
started back into it again recently, and after years of not having it, it's kind of like the perfect mixture of both. There's a bit of a tanginess, but you've got the brown sauce underneath.
Depends for me what it is. Bacon roll is brown sauce all day long, but I prefer red sauce with chips.
Yeah.
Good point.
No, it has to be red sauce, Heinz, glass bottle. No,
Yeah,
no
not this daddy shit.
No,
definitely not.
fuck no.
Anybody who eats that
That's the
there's
worst.
something wrong with them.
It has to be Heinz. It has to be like you're from the 1980s and you're
Yeah.
Andy.
from the back of the bottle.
I'm kind of the same. I like red sauce, but brown sauce, HP sauce and toast, absolutely divine.
Oh, horrendous. Horrendous.
Just on toast.
Just a bit of butter on it first. But
No, that's grim.
brown sauce
that
and toast.
sounds grim.
Taste
No.
it. It's fucking lovely.
See, he's from down pat.
No.
Like, come on, that's not. There's bacon on it all day long.
Yeah.
Brown sauce.
Right, so next question is from Rocco, so we'll skip that. so Rocco says, Rocco, if you still stayed on the podcast as a presenter, you could have asked this question. So he asked to be seated at McMurtry Spearling at Goodwood. Well, we watched that video earlier on. So what makes a petrol head, in your opinion? Gary?
Anyone who enjoys cars is more than an object for getting from A to B. So that can take many different forms and shapes. It can be doing track days, modifying cars, in fact, working on those projects, buying, selling them as a lucrative hobby on the side, just even lusting over them, having posters on your wall, even if you've never owned a supercar or anything remotely fast. But if you see it as more just a mechanical object to get you around, then you're a car enthusiast of some kind.
So I'm going to pick up on that point. So I could see people having a poster of Bad Boys, the 964 Turbo on their wall, something like that. But I can't see someone have a picture of Model 3, but I can see someone having a picture of a SpaceX rocket with a wee Model 3 in the background or something like that there. You know what I mean? And that's how people look at it now.
Brand awareness and all that.
That's the total change, and that's how Elon Musk will get people enthused about cars.
Do you reckon Rocco has that? Do you reckon he has a SpaceX rocket in the house and has a wee model of his Model
I think
3?
he's a wee baby rocket.
Yeah.
Rocco's rocket.
Definitely has a baby rocket. Yeah.
A rampant rabbit.
A rampant Rocco on the loose.
We're talking about petrol heads. Like, my wee fella, so I've got two wee boys. One is 7, and he's just like a Tesla nut. Like he's went from being like a petrol head, you know, in traditional sense. He would have came to car shows and that there with me, and like he's just fallen in love with Teslas. And then Pete took him out in the Model 3 Performance, and wee Rossi just thinks there's nothing like it. My 4-year-old Louis, he's just loves the noise and talks about the banana car and Daddy do donuts, Daddy, in the banana car. So yeah, he's hung me out to dry in it. But do you know something? I think we've got it in us. You know, if you're a petrol head, if you've got the love of cars and the feelings that they evoke in you, and it doesn't matter whether they're electric, dirty diesel, petrol, whatever else. If you've got that feeling that makes you talk to your friends about it, yeah, whatever it is, that's what.
Well, my wee boy's the same actually, Andy. You're probably about to say he's 8, but he's Tesla mad as well. And then Andy took him out in the Tesla that he had in loan, and he just absolutely loved it. But that all, I find, comes from YouTube. They're watching a lot of YouTube channels, and all the Californian content creators are all on Teslas. You know, there's very few of them driving Ferraris and stuff like that there. Seems to be a Tesla out there. I don't know if Tesla are pushing the cars out to them, promoting them and stuff like that there, or if they're just sourcing them themselves, but extremely popular out there.
Ask Suter the next time you're talking to him.
Yeah. He'll love it.
Influencers, as they're called, or YouTubers, like it's a very strange world too for young people to look at. And I think young people will look at an influencer and think, well, that's a potential career path for me. But that's almost like niche. Saying, well, like I'm going to be, you know, working on MTV or back in our day, or flipping literally be an astronaut. Like it's the top 1% of the 1% do really well. Yep. And then and if you're in the US, I think here it's very, very difficult, and there's only a very few.
Yeah, it's very small here, that market.
Very, very, very small. Or you find that there is something else in play that allows people to go and buy stuff.
Yeah,
you know, and it's the YouTube is something for them to do rather than the means for them to be there. Anyway, I say in the start of my GT4 video, I was like, well, I think if I was 20 years younger, I probably wouldn't have started RMS. I probably wouldn't have had the interest at doing, well, possibly because of electric cars. Maybe in 10 years' time, definitely, because, you know, the new cars will be all electric. You know, you're growing up, your parents would have just been driving electric cars, and that's all you've been exposed to, which wouldn't have been very exciting. You wouldn't have had your mad uncle with an XR3 or you know that type of stuff.
No,
just the way the stars align. Sometimes, like you got into it just at a certain age when the cruise scene was kicking off, and that's the way it ended up. But as you say, might not have happened nowadays if you were 20 years younger.
Yeah, and if you're selling a car in 20 years' time, you'll be selling electric cars online. So like, to be working at a computer selling stock that's out of an automated warehouse or something like that. It's not having someone around and say, here, we just see this. We got traded in a flipping 1987 M5 or something like that there, you know, that we'd get someone excited, let's take it out for a wee slide about the back roads here, and then that would get imprinted in a young person's mind. I think you'd get that.
Yeah, that's right.
Get not excited about Tesla and its original battery.
Oh wow, no way.
So next question is Boydie asks how to combat EV charge hoggers. How would he know? He doesn't have an EV to charge.
He just hits them.
I think he's just prodding people's sticks here.
I'm going to go shotguns.
Actually,
can I say that?
Well,
you just did.
I think what they all said, that the charge hoggers, the ones that all the EV purists really pisses them off, is these people are hybrids. Pete actually made reference. He says, like, you're coming down.
I read that. Yeah, like
pissy hybrid,
20-mile
put
range
on for 3 hours to get 14 miles. Like, it's people like that who are taking the piss. The only way that they can do it is start finding people here.
Hit them in the pocket.
Absolutely.
Overstay fees. It's so many pence per kilowatt, and then suddenly, right, you stay there a little more 20 minutes. We'll charge you a $5. You guarantee it. You start charging someone, and they're flipping their wee Enyaq or whatever else, the flipping Scarper, like. And they'll be like, this is a disgrace.
Well, it'll be everybody else's fault, not theirs.
Yeah.
Why does my car not drive itself?
Yes, I'm going to my local MP. He's sort of like,
oh god.
Actually, when you're talking about,
I'm going to take this to the
fire up the letters.
Warren just said something there, and it put it back in my head about a TV advert. So the car won't drive itself. Have you noticed BMW's iX? So this new thing, and you'll see it advertised on the TV. It's the big weird. It's like a maroony coloured thing, but they write on it, this car needs to be charged using electric or something along those terms. Fucking numbnuts think that they can buy these cars that are self-charging. So BMW have literally had to put it into the adverts, this car needs plugged in to charge it.
Yep.
Crack perpetual motion.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Nuts.
people are just...
I give up.
Right, next question, again from Boydie. All the questions today from Boydie. Sam, what is the most fun 40 plus MPG petrol car? Perfect balance between power and economy.
Golf. Done. Yeah. Has to be.
Like a Mark something GTI.
A Mark 5 GTI.
Would I still do 40?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
no, I won't. No,
actually.
I can think of a single performance petrol car that would do 40.
No.
Like, maybe not a performance car, like a 1.2 with a good chassis, you could throw around and have a bit of fun, but not something like a GTI.
What did on like super economic mode when you drove it like Miss Daisy, both the McLarens and the R8. The R8 had a thing called cylinder on demand. Mm-hmm. So if you drove it in like economy mode or economic mode, whatever it's called, I can't remember. Comfort, I think it probably is the correct term.
It came at V2.
Yeah, literally it shuts down cylinders, so it would do literally miles and miles. Like you could fill the McLaren, it would come up like 360 miles and all. That's never happening, but I mean you could if you drive it very economically.
Yeah. I haven't had a car in the last probably 12 years that has done 30 miles a gallon, never mind 40. And that's not even driving it
Probably
hard.
driving it, yeah,
like,
just driving it.
Just driving it normally. I haven't had a car doing 40 miles a gallon in a long time.
So yeah, Boydie, go and work on your questions.
The only thing I could think is something like, I see in the notes here Suzuki Swift, but they're not. I don't know how much performance do you want, and I'm sure the guys in the forum will say, well, maybe they don't even do 40 to the gallon as well. But 40 in a petrol car is tough to get.
Yeah.
And really, you might be able to get it in a Golf GTI Hypermiling, but what's the point?
What Boydie wants there is a 318D with an AliExpress body kit on it. Oh. That'll do 40 miles a gallon.
And a set of wind seals.
Yeah.
Next question from Mark 19. Fuel prices, Mark. I think we have flogged fuel prices to death. It's horrendous and with no good answer. And the next question from Silver F80. Would we buy a car sight unseen? We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. Sturdy Fella, best example of a facelift or midlife refresh that transformed a car to what it should have been in the first place. For example, having owned a 2.8 GTI and 2.8 GTI by Peugeot Sport, and its tweaks should have been from the factory and other examples. My thought would maybe be, I'm going to steal your notes here, Gary, but 100% agree. The M2 competition, putting the M4 engine into it was a stroke of genius.
Yeah, definitely, that is a great shoot, because the normal, a mate had the first M2 and it was a bit drab or something about it. And the compact one was a great fun car.
Wasn't an M spec engine really, was it, the first one?
So balls, wasn't it? They
just lacking that sparkle.
Yeah. It'd be like an M240i or something if they're bringing out nowadays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought the aesthetic way Subaru changing the bug eye impressive, the little blob eye. Now I know some people do disagree, and the bug eye has its fans, but I'm not one of them. And also the 36 M3 when they brought out the Evo version and went up from a 3-litre to 3.2 5-speed box to 6-speed box, about another 35 or 40 horsepower, and a few other changes.
It revved a bit harder as well, didn't it?
Yeah, hair rev limit as well. So they both drive well, but I've owned both of them, and certainly the Evo has the edge on it.
Ooh, I wish I could have a think about S14A over the S14. That's a great midlife change,
especially those lights.
It was a horrendous looking car to a sort of almost socially acceptable car. It's I like that one. Ross, Warren, any other life cycle impulse thoughts?
No, M2 one. I think that's jackpot stuff. Like that really changed that car and made it much more fun, and obviously gave it a bit more grunt about it too, which is what it needed, because it's a great fun car. Like, so no, I think that's bang on the money. Actually, to be fair.
ALN asks, what's the oldest car you've driven?
Ooh. For me, 72 Jaguar E-Type V12.
Oh, nice. What was that like? Shite, but great.
No, actually quite nice. Weird, it's a 4-speed box, which takes a bit of getting used to because it's still about 270 horsepower. So the gearing feels strange compared to a modern car, but it actually felt quite rapid, and I sort of thought if you won one of these cars in the late 60s, like it must have felt really sharp back then when stuff wasn't quick like it is now.
That would have been great. Yeah. I actually don't know what the oldest car I've ever driven is.
I had to think about it, but it was my father-in-law has a 1933 car, which is actually really cool because it still works in the carbon engine that there, and normal gearbox like you would imagine, like not like, and it was weird things you saw in Goodwood Festival Speed, it was like 5 different things. drove like a normal car. It was just really cool and big, springy, spongy seats.
And what was
What's
it?
that?
It's a 1933. It's called an Armstrong Siddeley. It's a big English car. It's,
Right.
it's kind of cool looking big thing. But he also had a 1906.
89 years old.
89 years old.
Yeah.
But he has a 1906 Buick,
Oh, wow.
which is
Nonsense.
amazing. Yeah, I've literally been in it as a passenger the length of his garden, and that was it.
Well, there's a question. Do you think someone will be driving a McLaren in 89 years?
No, they don't work that long. They just don't.
8 years?
8 years if they're for 8 months. Can't see it. Can't see it. If it are, it's going to be some random
And never
collection,
driven, locked away.
never driven, locked away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't see it. They just fundamentally break too much, in my experience. I mean, people do get good ones. Don't get me wrong; they're obviously great, and I do stand by the fact that it genuinely is the best thing I've ever driven. When it worked, it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Just really good fun to
There,
drive.
do you know what? When I sat in your car, I just thought this is all me because it's lightweight, all the performance,
Raw, like it is raw.
and but it's a driver's car, like.
But you could drive it honestly, see in comfort mode. Like you could drive it like a Golf, just the way you went. And I mean, I didn't like, but you could.
No, but I will. Why would you want?
Well, you wouldn't. Its bolts fall out apparently.
Rocco asks, what saving would you need to be making on fuel to sit in a queue for 30 minutes to use a specific petrol station? I tell you what, that is... Craig, you may sit back and laugh with your smug Tesla face on. But you still have an internal combustion car in the house as well, and no one here wants to be sitting like... maybe our parents were in the 70s or something like that there, with fuel crisis and 12% mortgage interest rates and all that type of nonsense. Like that is Mad Max type mentalness, you know.
It is.
But it does happen because you don't even like you see it popping up and flipping Facebook and wherever else when somebody does like a freeze at the pumps or whatever else. The amount of idiots queuing up to like literally save. And when you think about it, on a 50 litre tank, they're maybe going to save £4 or £5 tops.
Melts
You'd
my
need to
head.
be fucking hard up to
People that are driving 10 miles to another petrol station because it's 4p cheaper.
Yeah.
And like basic maths is hard. Here we are.
to answer his question, I'd never do it.
No, not a chance. Wouldn't even remotely
sounds
entertain it.
madness.
Same here. I don't obsess over fuel prices too much. I talk about them like everyone else if it's in the news, but I would never probably deviate from a normal commute just to find a petrol station somewhere. I just take it, there's a little bit of marginal difference between them all, but you have to fill up. If you don't fill up, you don't drive, so just do it.
Agree.
All right. Okay. Well, look, I think we will bring the European Highlander in in the dock after it's been stuck out in the Irish Sea. If you want to find us, you'll get us on the socials at RMS Motoring. Obviously, you'll get us on RMS on the RMS forum. And if you have any questions, it's pod at rmsmotoring.com. Thanks for listening, Warren. Thanks very much for coming along.
Yes, thank you,
It was
man.
fantastic
Thank you.
to have
Had
you.
fun.
Good crack. And I'd just like to say, remember, there's no warranty. This was sold as seen.